Well, hello again. What is going on, everybody? Check this out. This guy's trying to circle right here. Hold on, we gotta go see this. Is he gonna land? Is he gonna land? Is he gonna mess it up? He looked pretty low on that circle. No, I think he's got it. He's got it. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Good to see everybody back here for another 777 stream. Look, while we wait for updates for the 737 NG and for the Max, I figured we got to keep going with the 777. I had way too much fun in this airplane on the last flight coming into here into Skardu. Oh, he doesn't have the scenery. He's landing on the dirt, it looks like. Either that or he's just really landing on the dirt because he can't get it on center line. Suspect. Yeah, I think he put it in the dirt, chat. Anyway, we're back in the 777 right where we left off. Sitting at Skardu, we got a 727 next to us. We got another Thai Airways 350 over there. That looks pretty good too. Thai 350. We got a fun one today, y'all. This one is going to be even juicier than the last one. I don't know how we can get any juicier than the last stream. Flying in here, the scenery, everything just looked incredible. I think this one's even going to top it. And the stream after this, I feel bad because I don't know how I can continue to go up after this one. I mean, this one is going to be quite the cinematic experience. We're flying over the mountains. We're taking a different route. Simbrief had it in there. I don't know if it's a real route, but I'm pretty sure you'd have to go south, more over like Thailand, I guess, before going back up to Paro. But we're just going straight over the terrain. I mean, the entire flight is just going to be over some of the most incredible terrain that the world has to offer, literally. So this should be a lot of fun. I hope you guys are ready for this one. Up in cruise, we're going to look at the green dot, Thai Airways 611, I think, 6 something, the Thai 300 that crashed, going into into Kathmandu. Was it Kathmandu? No, I can't. Flight 311. We're going to look at that one, which will be very fitting for this flight too, going over the terrain and looking at the granite and all that. So the next flight should just be taxiing around DFW. Jeez, Oscar. Yeah, that would be the polar opposite. You go from this to just taxiing around DFW, and that would really be quite the opposite of juice. So but here we are. We're back at the ramp here in Skardu. We're going to fire it up. We do have, take a look at this, y'all. We do have ourselves some GSX stairs, courtesy of y'all from setting it up on the last time. Key 6 was a big part of that. He really wanted this. He loves GSX. GSX is his favorite thing of all. So we're going to rock the GSX again. I did purchase it again. I highly recommend you don't do that. But this one was for Key 6, so I hope he tunes in. Zippy, you're right. I think it was an A310. I think that was an A310 as well. So A310, 300, same difference, right? Just one shorter. Not really, but yeah, we'll definitely look at that one. Martin KW, thank you for the €5, man. Appreciate you. We want an MH370 breakdown. Hey, you know, we did the breakdown of 370 many moons ago on the 747 long haul. That was 15, 17 hours. But we are going to break that one down again, because that stream was, that breakdown only occurred for the most hardcore viewers. I think it took place around 1 o'clock in the morning local time, and we still had 200 or 300 people there, but it was a long time ago, and it was in the middle of the morning. So it should be, we'll break down that one at some point. That video is a little bit too long for this flight. This one's only going to be about 1:50. So this video will be 30 minutes. So it'll fit. Have you seen the new 737 update? Yes, I have, and that is why I'm doing the 777, because I want to wait for those 2 updates to drop before I was going to do a Max. I have the thumbnail made. What we're going to do next is we're actually going to fly the Max in the Owana 1. I actually have the thumbnail made already. We'll do some Hawaiian island hopping. But I wanted to see if that update was going to drop. If not, we'll just stream it tomorrow, because I want to shout out some other stuff that I have here that I want to show y'all. So, Jeremy, no, that wasn't the APU. That was just other traffic, unfortunately. That wasn't that other airplane that was taxiing in. But this is going to take probably 4 hours to load up, so let's go ahead and get right to it. We will have plenty of time to chat as we get up into the cockpit here. We'll get the battery switch on, and I tell you what, let's go right to ground power. I actually need to connect it here. We'll go to ground ops and request ground power, please. With ground power on, Let's go ahead and juice it up. We'll turn the storm light on. We'll get the wing lights on. Excuse me, we'll get the logo lights on. Seatbelt signs are off. That looks good. Fuel pumps are off. Everything looks good on the overhead. Let's get the ADIRs into alignment. Arm the emergency exit lights. Leave the window heat off for now as the airplane powers up and we get ready to load. We are at 95 likes before we even get fired up. Wow, I appreciate y'all. We got quite a good turnout today. Thank you all for tuning in on this Tuesday afternoon. I did bump the stream up 30 minutes, so I appreciate y'all for being here and being live. Look at this. The sun is rising. It's 6:09 a.m. sim time, and the sun is starting to rise here as we get ready to depart. Now, I kind of wanted to take off at 6 o'clock in the morning, but that would require us to wind the sim back. I don't know. We'll see. Right now it's middle of the night, so you cannot depart out of here at night. So that's illegal, so we had to run the sim forward. Plus, what do we care about legality, though? We're in a 777. Anyway, let's set a target like right now. The target like for a APU on, packs off. Well, actually, it would be APU on, so the bleed would be relieved, right? Maximum Toga from outside view, 250 likes before takeoff. That's the plan. That's the plan. Blackbird controls. I saw the 737. Oh, yeah. Pre-ordered 2024, so I'm getting money back for the 73. Yeah, 73 Sim Pilot. If Blackbird controls here, see in the chat? Blackbird, there you are. Good to see you, man. Yes, I did drop another video. I did receive some 737 levers from Blackbird controls as well. Check out that shorts video. You guys aren't going to be disappointed. I promise you. Promise you. All right. Let's go ahead and get everything else juiced up here. So first things first, I'm going to come over here and actually get the flight plan loaded. Request data from SimBrief. Load that sucker in. Come down here. FMC just powered up. Let's go ahead and get the brightness on. And you know what we should actually do is let's just start the boarding process. Whoa, what is that? We're going to start boarding. Yes, let's board everybody up. We'll get the crew members out here, and we'll get everybody bussed over from the terminal area, which I believe is over here, right? This is real life. They bus them over from the terminal area. That is interesting. You doing max flappage on takeoff? No, we have to do a flap 5. We got to do a flap 5 out of here for, and what I need help with is we have to figure out how do I change the acceleration altitude. There's 2 ways I've been able to climb out of here successfully. One is cleaning up rather rapidly while flying the same path as the arrival, where you have to make those turns over the 2 mountains. And then once they clean up, just do a clean climb at almost Toga all the way up. Wait, why are we bypass pin inserting here? Oh, they're hooking up the tug prior to boarding. I have that option turned on. I don't know why. The only other option is to keep the flaps out and change the acceleration altitude. But I would imagine the acceleration, I mean, what is it, 18,000 feet would be acceleration altitude out of here? It's crazy. So in the takeoff page, all right, we'll double check that. Am I planning on the 380? Absolutely. Actually, Chaos just sent me a picture of the 380 or sent it in the Discord. Actually, it looks really good. Here's our crew members. We got all 76 of them getting ready for this. Second page of TO Perf. Okay, so second page TO Perf. We'll load that up. Blackbird, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Mr. Saturday, good to see you. The sun rising, hitting the side of the mountain is beautiful. I know. I tell you what we're going to do, Mr. Saturday. We're going to set the time to 6 a.m. just before takeoff because it's so cool to climb up and catch the sunrise. But I don't know how long this boarding process is going to take, so we shall see. We've got 15 flight attendants on board today. They're going off the rear and forward stairs. Should be absolutely awesome. Flight to Paro is awesome in between the mountains. Yes, so the Paro approach will be we're going to shoot, I believe it's the RNAV X-Ray 3-3. Then we're going to do the cloud break. Now, the old procedure that I've done before, I did it with Phantom in the 321 a long time ago. We're going to do that cloud break. Basically, you fly over the field, hug the mountain. We do a 180 in the valley, very similar to what we did getting in here. We have to be very careful on our weights, make sure we are below our planned landing weight to make that circle. We almost had an issue doing that circle over here. Now, here's the best part about this stream. I did wager my good buddy Mark a little bit of, I actually wagered him the 777, but we both own it, so we've agreed to a dollar value of the 777. What's the 777? $70? So we have to do it legally. We can't just go zero fuel, zero passengers. We're taking an actual load. We're taking actual passengers. We actually have more passengers than I wanted. We have, I think, 300. But if we can land it and stop it legally, I win. Now, JipWiz, obviously we're going to silence that. That has to be silenced for the approach. All that stuff will be silenced, but it has to be a legitimate approach. $77, says Oscar. Okay, so that's what we're aiming for. We got to take his money today, chat. This man isn't going to fit in Paro. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out together. All right. All right. Now that we're finally loading, let's go ahead and finish the initialization here. Pause and knit. We'll take the GPS pause. We'll throw you in there. Route. Let's do a route request. That's us. Offset to VQPR. We will set payload. And we will set fuel. Block is 42.5. Reserve of 6.8. We're going up to 390. Cost index of 50. Okay, so that is set. Let's go ahead and look at the route page. We're requesting that. While it's requesting, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and juice up the APU. So we can have some APU up here. Maybe we can start burning a little bit of fuel as we wait. Legally, we'd be in the touchdown zone. Yes, LW, we got to be in the touchdown zone. I missed the super chat, didn't I? Sorry, who was that from? I missed that already. Al W, thank you so much for the 36 months, man. Appreciate you. Purdue Wings, music is fire. Yes. Thank you, dude. I love that countdown song. I bet Paro is captains only. It is. To my knowledge, the Paro is captain only landing, and there's a good video on it. There's a 320 going in there kind of in light rain. It's a pretty neat approach. It's videoed and everything. Definitely you have to do that cloud break procedure, which we tried to attempt to not do that, and we were super high coming down the valley. I don't know why my rudder keeps doing that. Is that like gusting winds or something? Have I practiced this? No. No practice. The only quote-unquote practice is I loaded onto the runway. I had it, excuse me, had everything running. I slewed up and back to take the screenshot. I did land, and I did not stop in time. But that was a slew approach just to get the thumbnails and screenshots for the stream. I think if my calculations are correct, we should be able to stop. Stopping isn't going to be the issue as long as we don't float it out 500 feet down the runway. Okay. All right, APU is up and running. That's going to go there. Let's go left, 1, 2, on, auto. We'll get our window heats on. We can go ahead and remove, didn't mean to do that. Let's go ahead and remove the other external power. With that removed, everything is pneumatically automatic for the APU and ground, which is awesome. So let's go to ground ops. Let's go ahead and release the ground power so we don't have to worry about that anymore. Aircraft is still loading. Let's come down here and finish our box. It looks like we can load up our uplink. So we're going to load the route. We're also going to get terrain on ND. Let's hit the magic barrel ref key. There is no ATC. We're going to set top altitude, flight level 390. Move this over to thousands here so Zippy doesn't yell at me the entire stream. Run this up to 390. And we should be ready to activate and execute. Now let's take a look at our route, or excuse me, let's take a look at our legs page. Very simple. We're going to do some modification for this one. So we're going to go departure arrival. We're going to depart 14 right. 14 right, execute. There is no SID out of here. We're going to taxi down 14 left. I know there's a couple people here as well with the, what we're planning on doing is we're going to use 14 left to taxi, and then we will taxi onto 14 right instead of back taxiing. That way we don't have to block everybody's approach, or I guess takeoff view. Looks like the last few ULDs are going in here. Gotta love it. This airplane has a pretty sweet cabin too. Okay, for arrivals, this is where we're actually going to pull out the Navigraph. So let me get the charts up. Zippy, as always, man. I'm always considering your sanity, my friend. All right, let's pull up Navigraph here. And why isn't it popping up? There you go. Let's go ahead and unload, and let's load the current one. Import from SimBrief. Yeah, that's the one. I had to remove the alternate. No alternate required. So, looking at Paro, we're going to land 1-5. The approach and the star, we're not going to do a star because the stars really come from the south, and you could do it from Subsu. I'll tell you what, we could do Subsu. Let's do that because then it'll put a hold in there should we need it. So we're going to plan RNP X-ray. Yes, RNP X-ray from PR888. So RNP X-ray to 33, PR8888. And we're going to come down the Subsu 1 arrival. Okay, so we're going to execute that. The only reason I'm doing that is because I want to have that hold in there just in case we get high. If we're doing some greens or some green dot and we get a little close, we cannot get behind on this approach. Just like this one coming in here, the only difference is going into Paro, we actually have some navigation data and some target altitude and airspeeds that we have to hit. So you could argue that it's slightly more challenging to be on speed or below the max speeds than coming in here. Here is kind of a free-for-all. You're kind of on your own to make the turns and not hit the mountains. So we definitely cannot be behind on this approach. RMP X-Ray 33 is what we've got loaded up, and we're going to take it from PR8888. This is the missed approach procedure should we need it, because we have to do it properly. So now I'm going to hide Navigraph real quick, and let's go to the step mode, and we're going to clean up our box just a little bit. Run you out. Alright, after Subsu, we need to go right to PR8888. So I'm going to go, actually I want to go to this Subsu. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to take this Subsu, and we're going to put it after LEH. We're on that Subsu. Now if we execute that, we'll zoom the range out, and that's what we want to have right there. So there is our approach. Now what's interesting is this actually loads the mist all the way as well. You can see it on the chart. There's our 710. From there we're going to be visual, and then we will reload the box with an RNAV, or excuse me, with a VFR visual straight into 1.5, and we will execute the cloud break in the mountains. If we have to go mist, that would be the approach there, but hopefully we don't have to get and worry about that mist approach because we don't even have an alternate, and where we're going we don't have time for missed approaches. So alerts, are they off? What did I miss? They might be muted. Let me see. They are muted. Did I miss something, Zippy? I don't think so. Looks like Vanson. Oh, excuse me. Aveo Premium over here is having some disconnecting issues. Alright. Let's finish our knit ref. Zero fuel weight, 452. Gross weight, 494. Cruise altitude, we'll take it 390. Max is 3888, so I'll tell you what, we'll leave it at 37 for now. We'll accept that. Let's go to thrust limits. We're doing a TO1. Now we need to go to takeoff page 2. We're going to be doing flaps 5, CG of 30.8. Here's our speeds, 42, 50, 59. Now thrust limb, no, we got to go page 2. Acceleration height is 1500. Nope. Thrust reduction 1500. Now is this has got to be AGL, right? 1500 AGL. So we actually need to change that. The field elevation is 7,000 feet here in Paro, if I'm not mistaken. So let me go back to airports just to confirm. Yeah, elevation is 7,300. We need at least 10,000 feet, which would be, so 10,000 feet above field would put us at 17.3. That should be good. That is a long time. So we're actually, I'll tell you what, let's do 9,000. Let's do 9,000 AFE. We're going to have to monitor our limits for max thrust. What is it with 2 engines operating? Is it 5 minutes? I believe it's 5 minutes. So we're going to have to monitor, make sure we don't exceed our 5 minutes before thrust reduction at 9,000 feet above field. So 9,000 above will put us right about 16,000 MSL, which we will still be below some of this terrain. If you look here, The highest peak right now is at 18,000 feet. If I zoom out, will it load the terrain further out? Yes. Our departure is basically going to be an immediate left turn. I'll bring my heading bug around. And we're going to basically fly this valley up. And we're going to kind of stay in that valley and then get on course. I do not think or do not anticipate us having to actually make a turn back towards the airport. We can if we need to, but we'll just monitor our performance on the climb out. Let's go ahead and sync up our runway heading. It's going to be a 144 degrees. We'll zoom that back in. We'll get our flight directors on. We will be LNAV, VNAV, heading select rather. So heading select, LNAV arm, Toga's arm, 390. We're actually going to knock that back because we said we were too heavy. So 37 is set. Let's run some checklists. I think we're getting close here, chat. Oxygen, I never tested. We should just come over here and double check since we are. Boom. Oxygen tested 100% normal. That checks. Flight instruments, heading altimeter are set. Park brake is set. Park brake is set. Checklist complete. Normal leaves us to before start checklist. All right. Now, I do have seated passengers enabled. Can we see anybody? Maybe not. Maybe I knew it. So you have to reset seated passengers after you do a livery install. Dang it. I bet you do. Because I enabled it in the GSX menu, but then I installed some new liveries. I would imagine you have to put them back on, maybe you have to reset it. Dang it. That's not something I can do live. Can I, Luke? Can I? Do I have to reset the whole flight, or do I have to just do GSX reset? You're not a fan of the cabin, though, Benny? Dude, we'll do a cabin tour. This one's pretty nice. I'm surprised y'all voted for Air India. I do like this livery. I see this livery in Newark a lot. But I was going to do Thai, and you guys voted for Air India. You know, you can't run FS Dreamtime. Oh, I have to reset it all. Okay, well, gosh dang it. Oh, well. Cabin empty, sus. Yes, it is sus. Wait, does my chat box? I didn't know the chat box was overlaying on. We don't want that. Let's turn that off. All right. Guess we can open it. Oh, wait a second. Look. No. We have first class. Well, hello. This is so weird, y'all. This is so bizarre. This is the first time I've ever done this. This is AJ's boyfriend right here. What is this? Seated passengers. Wow. We're going to have ourselves some time and cruise. Wow. Are you serious? I can read this. The Eco Evolution 737. Powered by SAF. Sustainable Air Fuels or something. This is wild. Some of the people look pale already. Well, they should. Okay, well, that's good. We will run back to the cabin. I wonder how much... frames that's going to kill. Let's go ahead and get these on. Fuel tank pumps are on. Now, engine doors, that all looks good. Brake set, APU, no smoking, seatbelt, doors auto. Okay, so we're just waiting to finish up the boarding process. 178 at 305. I think we're going to need to speed that up. Why are my alerts not working? Rastik, my man, dropping the 10 gifted memberships. Rastik, dude, I appreciate you. I don't know why. I just reset the alert box here. Rastik, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the 10 gifted memberships. You pick one up from Rastik, make sure you shout him out, say thank you. That's awesome, though. Thanks, man. I reset the alert box. Hopefully it'll work on the next time. I don't know why it's been off. It was showing on. Ooh, Gustavo's here. Gus, are you flying the FS9 today? Are you taking part in this? This is where Slustavo got his nickname because he couldn't land without slewing. So We shall see. We shall see. I'll tell you what we're going to do, though. We're going to go to GSX settings. And we're going to go here. And we're going to just juice up the timings to dense. Apply. Because as much as I'd love to sit here for another 45 minutes and load virtual passengers where each one of them is reducing my frames one at a time, we're going to we'll do this. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to wind the time back because I want to take off at about 6 a.m. When you open the cockpit door, you can see them if you close. Uh-oh. You deleted it before I could read the rest of it. Is that like a performance thing? Mr. Leahy, GSX was dead to me. It's still dead to me, but Key 6 on the last stream intentionally funded the purchase of GSX just so I could use it again. So, I had to honor his wishes. That is why we have GSX. Now, for pushback, this is going to be interesting. I'm just going to go straight back and stop it so I can make a hard left turn out of here. We'll probably taxi into some tails. Ooh, there's a Western Global 7.4 over here. Let's go. Let's see what we got over here. Oh, Western Global 7.4. I love that. I love that. Another Thai 350. Any builds 350 when? This is kind of a cool shot, though. Actually, sometimes when we do air stair boarding like this, I like to stand right about here, but I don't know. I'm not that tall. There we go. Well, that's a little short, but well, there we go. That's good enough. I like to stand right here and greet the passengers as they board. Hello, welcome aboard. So just to be clear, you still don't like GSX. That is clear, Jeremy. Yes, I do not like GSX. Oh, look at the sun. That's real-time sun changing. No, what is that? Why is that happening? Yeah, that's the sun coming up through the mountains. What? PC12 stream when? I don't know. Here, but what we are going to do, though, is we're going to run the time back. Because I want to take off at 6-ish a.m. So we're only going to do it one time. Here we go, 6:03 a.m. Perfect. Sun juice mode. Yeah, we're going to reset the sun juice because I'm telling you, this is way better. Trust me. We're living in a simulation. You're the Thai 346, but I'm scared. Ew, you're in a 346? Yeah, I would be scared too, my friend. PC12 when? The Aviator. Didn't the PC12, did it receive an update? Because I'd be curious if it received an update. If it hasn't received an update, then I don't know. Do you think you can get the 777 on the ground in real world without type rating? Yes. I think I could absolutely get it on the ground safely. Now, would we be able to use it again? That could be debatable. Depends on the circumstances. But I think we would be able to walk away. I surely would hope anybody who is typed on a transport category aircraft, modern transport category aircraft, I would hope that they could get us safely on the ground, even on an airplane they're not type rated in. 777 would be one of those ones that are a little bit more, it would really depend on what you were typed on. Like if I never flew flight sim, like I don't know, because I feel like if you're an Airbus guy and you never had a flight sim, and you were forced to land a 777, you would revert back to old school. You'd be like, okay, well, I'm just going to shut everything off because I don't know how to manipulate the automation, so I'm going to shut everything off and just hand fly. Now, where you're going to have a problem is your sight picture on touchdown. So the impact might be less than optimal, but I would imagine you'd be able to walk away from it. Hopefully. Does the 777 have better 3D modeling than the atrocious PMDG? Tom H., come on now. 7.3 is not atrocious. I think the modeling's pretty good on this 777, man. I really do. Look at this. Look at this leading edge right here. Look at this. That's a good view right there. Yeah, you could set up an auto land. Absolutely. The Lear 35 got an update. Oh, it did, Wingnut. It did. Hey, when's the next stream, Wingnut? Yeah, Infian. Here's the thing. If I was really in this scenario, I probably would just land it because I feel like I'm trained on the PMDG. But I feel like someone else would probably just set up an auto land Here's the thing: the whole movie idea of, oh my gosh, the pilots are dead. Can you land this airplane? In real life, if you had another airline pilot up there, they're easily gonna, depending on the failure scenario, if there's nothing broken with the airplane, they could probably easily set up an auto land with a talk through from air traffic control. They're going to have air traffic control talking to you, and they're going to bring somebody on the radio to help walk you through what you need to do. So have no fear, and all you simmers out there that are living by that dream that one day on your flight to Cleveland, Ohio, you're going to be asked to come up front and land a Southwest 737 MAX. I don't think it's going to happen, man. I really don't. Inflate the autopilot scenario. Yeah, set up an ILS and call it a day. Yeah. Now, where it would be really challenging is if you were... I think a turboprop would present the most challenge to somebody who was unfamiliar. So somebody who's never flown a turboprop, and then let's say they get thrust into a scenario where they got to land like a Q400 or like a Dash 8. I think that might be more challenging. Can you slew in real life? No. How do you intercept RNAV final on the A320? Oh, Abdi, that's a great question. We've done it a handful of times. Now, I'll tell you what we do in real life. If you're on a vector to final on an RNAV approach, and you're cleared for the approach on a present heading, say they've given you the heading of like a 45-degree intercept, what you do in the real airplane is you manage the heading button. So you push the heading button in. When you push the heading button in, it will automatically sync up and intercept on your present heading. Where you have to be careful is, let's say you're in the turn, okay, so you're 90 degrees on your base leg, and they give you a vector to be 45 cleared for the approach. If you manage nav before you reach the vectored heading, you will intercept prior, and you won't intercept on the heading you were cleared to. So you have to kind of be careful about that. Wait till the airplane rolls out to the assigned heading that they want you to intercept on, and then push the heading button in, and it will intercept the nav. That's really the most common way. The older way you could do it, Abby, is if you're clear the approach, you can just go to the box and give yourself a direct to the final approach point and arm the approach. So those are the two ways. The first method is what's most common. You just manage the heading bug. Boarding complete? It's not complete yet, is it, Indian? We're almost done. We're almost done. Why do you sometimes turn off flight director when landing? Sami, depending on the airframe that you are flying, the flight director use below a certain altitude will be prohibited if it's a non-precision. Boarding is complete. Let's get out of here, chat. Come on, enough chit chat. Here we go. All right, here we go. Everybody's going away. We got 46 likes to get a max takeoff from outside. Let's go ahead and prepare for pushback and departure. That's coming up. APU's coming up. They're closing entryways. We don't need to run any of this. We already ran our data. We'll go ahead and put this back down here. We're going to do straight back manual stop. They're going to remove wheel chocks. So actually, no, we have to remove wheel chocks. So let's come up here and let's go to ground operations. And before I pull chocks, let's make a radio call real quick. Skardu traffic, Air India 357. We're going to be pushing straight back here for a left turn out. We're going to taxi through all your tails to 14 left, and then depart 14 right. Skardu traffic. I'm hoping that, what's the call sign for Air India? Air India? So we're going to go straight back. We're going to taxi out, cross everybody's tails, and then we're out of here. Beacon lights coming on. Chocks are removed. Throttletek cameras coming up. And let's go ahead and pull the dome storm light off. Brakes released in the push. Here we go. We're just going to go straight back until the trucks are close to until the trucks are kind of close to that wall there. And we will stop right here. All right, pushback is stopped. Let's go ahead and start them up. We're clear to start engines. We're going to start engine 2 then 1.
Please set parking brakes.
Man, I can feel the frames from the passengers in the cabin. I'm going to turn that off. Tom, you might be. You might be. All right, shh, shh, shh. Everybody be quiet. Here we go. Shh.
Unlocking gear.
All right, there goes the tug and tow. Somebody said close cockpit door. That removes the passengers. Let's do that. Goodbye. Oh yeah, see they disappear. That's cool. All right, tug and tow. We got a good start on 2. Let's crank 1.
Right is clear.
You can really get a feel for the size. Look how small she is. Ooh, I love the outside sounds. That's a pretty highly detailed tow bar. You're on. I wish there was a big smoke plume. There should be a smoke plume for startup. There's tug and pin. I wish I could flash the taxi light. We'll do a little flash of all 3 lights. Tug tow pin, wave off. Monitoring number 1 engine startup. Oh, we forgot to do the before start. Flight deck door MCP takeoff speed CDU trim is 3.75. So that looks like, did it set automatically? Nope, other way. 3.75. 3.5, maybe one more. There we go, that's close enough. 3.75, trim set, taxi takeoff briefing, normal. Before taxi, anti-ice, recall, RTO. Flight controls, let's do a free and correct check from wing view. Free and correct, that looks good. Ground equipment is clear and normal before takeoff. Flaps 5, here we come. Let's go ahead and listen to the slats pop out. Let's move this camera just a little bit. Let's get maximum slats. Flaps 5 coming out. I love it. That 747 is out of here. Whoever's in the 74, you're my hero. Western Global. Man, can we hit that? We should be able to hit that 250 likes before takeoff. We're only 23 likes away. All right, the Thai 350's out of here. We are flaps 5. Flaps 5, flight control page. Someone said you can see the trim from here. Stab 3.75, 3.75. That is set. Flight controls are free and correct. Cool. Let's go ahead and blank the, that's after takeoff. We'll go ahead and blank the lower DU. We are set. Are you guys ready? Let's go. Scardu traffic, Air India 357 taxi, 14 left. Back taxi 14 left. Scardu traffic. Taxi lights on. Brakes released. Let's go. Cat 3 tiller, maximum left turn. Oh yeah, we smashed it. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Sorry, 727. We'll just look out this window. It's the only way to get off this ramp. You saw nothing. If you manage to land this flight deck to SimCab Mechanics, we'll have to do it. I have no doubt they'll be able to get her done. Now, XP72... Just kidding. Hopefully he's not here. I love XP. He'd get it down. He'd get it down, no doubt. Would we end on the runway? I'm not sure. I think XP... If I do this, I think XP has to do this in VR. In the 777. In VR. Last call. Say again. I didn't know if he was crossing. Skardu traffic, Air India 357, crossing a 14 right, taxi 14 left, back taxi, Skardu traffic. Alright, I don't see anybody down there, let's go. Keep going with that view on accident now. I love this Quadrant. This Quadrant's my favorite of all the Throttleteks I own, and I love the A320 Flightbox. But there's something about the way these levers are positioned, it just feels like you're flying a big boy airplane. That's the snow mod on that Thai 350. Look at that subtle wing flex out there. Oh, that's so awesome. That's Skardu traffic, Air India 357, clear of 14 right, back taxi, 14 left, Skardu traffic. Some juicy views already, we haven't even taken off yet. Mr. Saturday, I know, Mr. Saturday, I am anticipating a Mr. Saturday video with a Skardu flight. With your awesome editing skills, man. I just watched your shorts where you crossed an active runway. What's up with that, my man? XP has been planning some butters as of late. This trend of his started, he's got VR, he's been buttering it. You know what, Tom, you're absolutely right. I did notice when he started flying VR, and I gotta tell you, when you're in that headset, you can definitely tell the height above ground. Like it actually feels much more natural in VR, and I can 100% believe that it makes your landings better. Absolutely. 310 Flyer, welcome to Private Pilot, my man. Glad to have you on board, sir. Welcome. If you are a commercial member, make sure you check out the latest short video for the commercial members. I did have a 108 feet per minute. I know y'all are asking how was my landing in Reno. It was, I did the calculation, 108 feet per minute. So, wasn't my smoothest, but it wasn't the hardest one. I'll take a 108. And then I had I think I had like a sub 70 in LAX. Is it better than eye tracking? It's totally different, a tool. Okay, it's totally different. Eye tracking software, you're still flying in a two-dimensional space. Whereas VR, you are completely immersed in a third dimension. That person sounds professional. Is that the 727? Who's crossing? Whatever that other area is sounded professional. Default 777 sounds, yes, JMP. Yeah, you get depth perception with VR. That's true. You get the depth perception. Pratt, or Pat, welcome. Commercial pilot, 3 months, man. Appreciate the support, dude. Yeah, Columbo, I wouldn't say it sucks in comparison because it's completely different. The reason I prefer an eye tracking device is because I don't want to be under the headset. Like while it's good, I also enjoy my peripherals and I enjoy being able to have a nice beverage, and I have, I'd have kids running around. It's just different for me. Now, if I was, having to do a DCS dogfight competition against a wingnut, then I would definitely choose the VR. But it is limiting in the sense that you kind of lose everything around you. And now for streaming purposes, it's not the best solution. I have 2 monitors running a lot of stuff for the stream on a different monitor that I got to be looking at. I've got my pumpkin spice latte right here. Like I can't do that in VR. I'd drive myself nuts. Do you have a new computer? Yes, I do. 7 exclamation point specs. There you go. That is all correct. Let me double check. Yeah, 4080 Super. Waiting for a 5 Series. But I'll tell you what. The way this 4080... I got the 4080 Super because I would have had to pay basically market price for a 4090, where I had a really, really good deal on a 4080 Super. So I was fully anticipating to still have some issues, but man, the 4080 has been crushing it. I gotta say, it has absolutely been crushing it. Altimeter correct, it is 3022. Let's do a magic barrel ref check. 3021 is check. Yeah, DCS and VR. That would be incredible. That would be incredible. All right, here we go. We're approaching the departure end of 1-4 right. We're going to flip it around. Actually, yeah, 1-4 right. We're going to taxi over, and it probably would have been easier to back taxi, honestly. We're going to have to do a lineup in external cam, most likely here. I probably should have back taxied 1-4 right, because there's that nice wide turnaround spot. Uh-oh, AJ's here. Even I can land a 777 into Paro. We'll see. Hey, AJ, you got to put it on. Video, man. I saw you trying to land a King Air behind me one time. How'd that turn out? Thanks for the $3 super chat, man. Video or it didn't happen. Video or it didn't happen, AJ. All right, we did hit our maximum number of likes. You guys are awesome. So, if I'm not mistaken, if I leave the APU on...
727, holding short 1 for left. Can you start your back taxi so we can clear the 19?
If you turn the APU, if the APU remains on, the bleed is automatically relieved from the engines, correct?
Yeah, sure.
That way, at this configuration, we will get maximum takeoff power. All right, let's go ahead and turn them all on. Wing light, oh, that's on. Strobes, hit the, boom. We're gonna do a 180 lineup here. Start your traffic gear India 357, line up and wait 1-4 right. We can't do a lineup and wait one my bingo. Now the controller online. Actually, you know what? We should be plenty fine here. We're just gonna cut across. Oh, look at this view with the sun coming up through the valley and the airplanes crossing. This is so cool. Using the tiller on the 777 is probably my favorite thing ever. Using a Cat 3 tiller on the 777 is so much fun. I think I actually overshot a little bit here. I was planning on going across and then doing a turn back the other direction. We'll straighten her out here a little bit. We're going to come just past it a little bit. Anti-ice is not required. There is nothing on the runway surfaces. Now, if there was precipitation, then absolutely. No, it's 11C. And you probably can't see it, the cam is in the way, but it's 11C, so we're 1 degree above the required temperature. Alright, spin this around. Yoke cam is up and running. Shout out Cat 3 Design. Thank you again for the tiller. Absolutely awesome to use the tiller on the 777. Alright, we should manually turn them off, you say? Okay, so left pack off, right pack off. Sim sounds are coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, take your seats. Are y'all ready? We got LNAV, VNAV armed, heading select Toga. We're going to be on initial heading here. Let me make sure my heading... Oh, hold on. Heading. I got to set up a couple things here. Heading is set. Speed, we are going to set 159, 169 will be V2 plus 10. 169. V2 plus 10. Alright. We're going to spool them up 50. And let's go. Scardu traffic, Air India 357 departing 1-4 right. Scardu traffic. The Toga button is awesome on the throttle too. It's like right here, hidden under here. Yoga. Gotta love it. All right, we are thrust ref. Packs off, that's associated. Thrust set. 105.8 on the apron, that's nuts. V1.
V1.
Rotate nice and easy. Positive rate, gear up, fly with. Look at that wing flex. All right, let's go ahead and start the turn. Maintain Toga. Where's the chrono? Maintaining Toga thrust here. Here comes flaps 1. There's standard already. We're going to keep this left turn going. Flaps up. Up the valley. Reselect heading. Heading select. I'm going to actually bug. Don't want to keep climbing. Let's bug 270. Let's get packs on. Left pack. Right pack. We're still doing 3,800 feet a minute. We're still climbing. Climbing into the sunrise. We're still below the peaks, though. Isn't that nuts? Like how... That's so crazy. We're still below the peaks. Ooh, a little bit of turbulence, too. We're at 1 minute on the Toga. Let's keep following this valley here and come back to the right. All right, there is reduction. Thrust reduction. Let's keep coming around to the right, and then we'll be pretty much set up for a nav. That is awesome. Say Toga, I started the chronometer. So I started the timer. So we don't exceed the limitation on the engines for thrust reduction. All right, we're looking good now. We are looking good. Let's go ahead and LNAV, VNAV it up. Let's redirect us. We're going to go lay to lay, re-execute. LNAV, VNAV speed, accelerating to 312 knots. Let's go ahead, APU's coming off. After takeoff checklist, APU cool down. We're looking good. Trim it out here. Get our thrust ref speed. Pull up our after takeoff checklist. Landing gear flaps are up. Descent checklist. We'll blank that out. That looks good. What a wonderful departure that was. How freaking juice was that, though? Yeah, 4,000 feet per minute. Absolutely. GE90s, man. GE90s. Crushing it. Alright, I'm going to turn the sim sounds down a little bit so I can actually hear myself. We're pretty much trimmed out on speed. There's Scardu back there. So awesome. So cool. This terrain is just unbelievable. Unbelievable terrain out here. I paid for 115,000 pounds of thrust. I'm getting my 115, absolutely. Gus, you're studying for an interview. Oh no, for what? You're gonna go work at Costco, my man? Canadian Costco? Top 5 departure from V1 Nation. I agree, man. I agree, Tom. Gotta get a little pumpkin spice latte in. I agree, dude. Coming out of here is just insane. You have another valley off to the left here. I don't think there's any other airports here. But we're going to have to take more airplanes into Skardu. Look at that down there. Look at the river. Is that? What not? That's K2? Is that K2? Because Everest is closer to Paro, right? Look at those peaks, though. What is that one? What I love about the fly-by-wire trim in the 777 is it's all, and I don't want to say it's like an Airbus, but man, you trim out to that ref speed, and it just flies so well. We'll go ahead and get the autopilot on here in just a minute. The pointy one is K2, so that's K2 right there, or I don't know if that one's actually taller than that one. I mean, that is crazy. Any mountain climbers here? Anybody do mountain climbing? Been flying MSF for 4 years and never flown here. I wonder why not. Karashi, that's this. So I said the same thing. So Lauren, she said, hey, you got to check out the Skardu scenery. And I was like, I don't even know what Skardu is. I looked at the scenery. I said, it looks cool. So I picked it up. We'll go autopilot on here. I picked up the scenery. And then once I loaded into the sim, I was completely blown away. And then I noticed that they actually take A320s in there in real life. PIA takes real 320s in there. Pretty wild. So yeah, absolutely awesome. We got to get our lights off too. That's my bad. Landing lights, turn off light, taxi, wing and logo come off, beacon nav and strobe are set. Seatbelt signs be auto and no smoking. Auto. We're gonna enjoy this terrain here for a little bit. Sometimes they even lower the landing gear. I hiked a lot of the highlands, but they aren't close to this. Yeah, this is nuts. I just sent you a DM to whom? Just for your laughter. Oh, boy. Oh, hold on. Schedule alert. Schedule alert. Let me see. Let me see. What is this? Ooh, do I want that trip? Atlanta overnight. Vegas. Nope. Nah. I don't need that trip. Turn off the no smoking. Air India allows it. Really, Bill's Mafia. Okay. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. So when are we having a stream where we pick your schedule for the month? No. I was thinking though, Zippy, so my next trip, as much as I don't like to do these flights, I'm doing a transcon on my next trip. I'm going from New York to LA, I think. Or is it Boston? I can't remember. Let me look. I am going, yeah. Boston to LA, and I was thinking of having a little competition by saying, hey, if you fly the same flight and you record your landing, I will post my real world landing rate, and if you beat me, I will give you like a $10 gift card or something. Or like, you know, something like that. I was thinking that'd be kind of a fun way to incorporate the real world schedule. But you have to have a video of the landing, and I got to see the G's printout. I got to see what your G's is. Yes, Mr. Lay, it's the AnyBuild Skardu. Now, it's not from AnyBuilds that they're the publisher, I guess. It's, I can't think of the name of who did it. Try flying Typhoon Christine, which hit the Philippines. There's a typhoon going on right now? Ooh. Bo, you're in for that competition? Are you doing another flight if there's no one leg today? I mean, if you don't want to do it and your operator will take my 2,000 hours in flight sim, I'll do it. I'll let it. You got to come out here first, Zippy. Come get your US of A citizenship. I did get cut off by a speedbird on my last trip. That wasn't very cool. I use G's. Gees. Yo, Rich. It's called G's. Stefan, yes, I'm planning on getting a 5 Series. That is the plan, yes. A Dan-ass speedbed has a heavy, I think it was a heavy 777 going to LAX. How do you calculate in real life landing rate? So we have a printout that will give you, it gives you the G load, which is the most important thing, because I've actually, after multiple tests of observing the G loading and feet per minute, you can have landings that are softer on the body, or they feel softer, but the G load is actually, but the foot per minute is actually higher. So foot per minute is really a poor way of determining how smooth the landing feels, because your body feels G load. Now, what our airplane will print out is it will print out the radio altimeter landing rate, and it will actually show you the vertical speed in feet per second at touchdown or at land event. And then so you just multiply that by 60, you get feet per minute. But what triggers, it's not just feet per minute that trigger a hard landing report. There are several items. A foot per minute is one of them. I think it has to be in excess of 800 or 750 or 800. And there has to be a G load of in greater than 2.0 or 2.5 on the G load. So we think that, you have a 400 foot per minute landing. Oh, it's such a bad landing. It really isn't that bad. Like, Southwest probably lands on average between 400 and 500 feet per minute. Never trust a speedbird. You know what we're like. Hey, Dougal. Hey, good to see you, Dougal. I tried using the Simbury for the Fenix from Boston to LA. It says the route is beyond limitations. Well, what are the winds? So, Jonathan, you got to be careful. The winds right now, as we start to head into winter, although it's abnormally warm, the winds, that jet stream will start to come down, and you will start having some severe headwinds going to LA or going westbound. Now, the 321 can do it. It will depend on your payload. You can be payload limited in a 321. Just depends. Now, the Fenix version that has modeled, it's actually the lighter variant. So there are some issues. Most American Airbuses are the heavier landing weight, and there's another mod, I can't remember what it's called, just a bunch of numbers. So basically you have several different variants of the Airbus, and I think what Fenix is modeled is the lighter version. You can tell this by looking at their max landing weight. Number one, that's the easiest dead giveaway. They have the lighter landing weight of like 160 something thousand pounds, where most Airbuses in America, the northern operators, not all of them, but the vast majority, at least the ones I jump seat onto, plus the ones I fly, are all the 171 plus. AJ, another $3 super chat, man. What we can out-butter you, no focal report for us to do. Ooh, that is true, but you got to be in the touchdown zone. See, that's the thing. I got to see the landing. I got to see the video landing. All right, we've leveled 350. Do we have a step to 37? Can we go to 37? Did I set 35? Why are we at 35? Let's keep it going. Let's set 370. Thrust ref, LNAV, VNAV speed all the way up. All the way up, please. Does a type of aircraft matter? It has to be a Airbus series. 19, 20, or 21. Do I have a touchdown ETA till Paro? Touchdown ETA right now in the Paro. 0328 sim time. Time now 0140. So 2 hours. 2 hours. But we're going to do a green dot breakdown in cruise, so don't go too far. Don't go too far. We're doing a full green dot breakdown in cruise. You have crutches? John Connors, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Hopefully you get better. Wish you a speedy recovery. We won't happen to see you back on the air. What do we win if we get a couple thousand feet per minute higher than your score? Ryanair enters the chat. I don't know. I have to think about it. Or what I should do, what would be more fun actually, is to do an exact foot per minute. So like the person closest to exactly 117, you know? Bill's Mafia, yeah, I see. I watch some Mentor. Mentor Pilot's my go to sleep. I make the sleepy time tea, throw on a Mentor Pilot, and pass out. I did want to watch his one about how the U.S. is inhibiting everything, apparently, in aviation. I didn't watch it. I fell asleep in the first 5 minutes. But I want to watch the rest of that one. Yeah, Sam, I think that would be more... I think that would be... That's what we should do. That's... Okay, I've changed the challenge. This is what it's going to be. It will be the closest person to land to my exact feet per minute. We won't do G-load and feet per minute because I think that would start to get too many variables. But we will have to do... I will calculate the foot per minute, and the person who can land the closest to my exact foot per minute, and the rounding... I can't remember. Can I round it? I have to look at the report. I have to see how many digits I get. Because we could have rounding errors. We might just drop the rounding error. Let's see. 1.8. Yeah, no, with 1 decimal. I think, with 1 decimal. And if there's an exact tie, then you both get the, then you would both get the prize. Does he think U.S. is inhibiting technology as a bad thing? If it was up to Europe, we have autonomous airplanes. I know, Sam. That's where I kind of get a little bit, when he gets into his opinion videos about how the U.S. has just ruined aviation, I'm like, okay, dude. If it wasn't for the U.S., you're exactly right, Sam. We'd have autonomous airplanes, nobody'd be flying, and they'd all be quiet as hell. No one's rolling coal. So I agree with you, man. Sometimes I appreciate the FAA being so slow. I agree, man. Yes, I am still using Ultra Cross with, I think I have to use DLSS with native frame gen, yo, Rich. I think I have to use that. Did you know Mentor is doing a YouTube video full time? Yeah, I did. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was very interesting that he gave up flying for that. But I mean, he's obviously making more money doing YouTube, so good for him. Aaron's here. Uh-oh. The resident Irish lad himself. Did he quit his flying job, or did he take a leave, though? I thought he might have just taken a leave. Let's do Burbank or John Wayne somewhere spicy. Richland. Well, we could do that, but then that takes away the challenge of you actually having to do the exact flight that I'm doing. So I'm not going to Burbank. Let me see if I have any shorter spicy airports coming up. I don't think so. I think I have a pretty benign flying schedule coming up. Let's see, Baltimore, LA, DFW. Next month I only have two trips. I have vacation, like actual PTO next month. So right now I'm only flying 2 days in November, which is kind of sad because I do like flying in November. No, I don't have. San Antonio, Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, I don't really have any. I don't have any Burbanks or anything coming up as of yet. Pac-Man, thank you for the 43-month support. Does the airline track your landings? No. If it's trending in the wrong direction, do they retrain? Navy will ground you with too many red stickers for traps. Yes, I'm aware of that, and I know they track every single landing that you do, every trap that you do. But no, as far as the airline business is concerned, excuse me, I got the hiccups. No, they don't. As far as my operator, they do not track. The only time you would get tracked or it even brought up is if you land hard enough to trigger what we call a load 15 report, which is excessive landing on excessive G load on landing could cause damage to the airplane. Look at that. That Air India livery is pretty sweet. I like the rising sun. DX12 crashes with the 48 Super, so I went back to deck trace level. Really, Patrick? I have the same GPU. It shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't be doing that. Columbo says, I'm European. I want big 7.4s with 4 engines. Me too, man. For me too. I want to bring back the 707s, diesel 8s. New emoji load 15. That's a good idea, Jeff. That's a good idea. Was hanging out in Richmond the other day. I saw the ATR flying in Heathrow again. That must mess with the heavy so much. It slows them down for sure. It slows them down for sure, I would imagine. Trying to get spacing. Is my cabin... Hold on, I gotta see this again. So we're up in cruise. I want to see these seated passengers. And down go the frames. Alright, let's do a little mini cabin tour here. No lavs. What's going on over here? I have two ladies in the forward. They must be getting the crew meals ready. Did this work? Does this work? Lighting off? I don't think so. Alright, into the cabin. Whoa. This guy looks happy. Is that what is that, a Volcom stone hat? Say hello 2003. Let's come back here. What is this guy watching? Suspect. Oh. Looks like he just set up his iPad. He's got some updates, some freshly updated icons here. I can hear your GPU screaming from Fort Worth. What he should be playing is like Microsoft Flight Simulator or Infinite Flight. That would be the best troll move there. Nice little cabin though. We got the Air India colors. This doesn't really look like Air India passengers though. Let's go back into the economy. What's this on the wall? This is a nice touch. Whoa. Sanchi Stupa is a Buddhist complex famous for great stupa on a hilltop. Huh. It was located 23 from Raisin Town, District 46. Very cool. Nice detail on this livery, man. This is really detailed here. What do we got here? Hello, ladies. Wow, they are really tall. They don't look all that happy. Alright, in here. It's the second, what is this, business class? Snapbacks and tattoos here in 8 Charlie, 8 Delta. What's he reading? Family Business. A300. Man, the detail on this is insane. This guy's got an interesting style. What's he playing? Need for Speed? PMDG A300 confirmed. Okay, now we're starting to get into... Yes, you can definitely tell we're getting into economy here. The smiles have gone away. She's drinking a rum and coke. This guy hates his life. This actually looks like my brother-in-law. Oh my gosh. This actually looks like my brother-in-law. Alright, continuing on. Is this guy reading a fitness magazine? He is. Of course he is. Mr. Volcom Stone is reading a fitness magazine. Oh my word. Alright, what we got here? We're getting into last class. We have an open seat. This lady's like, are you sure you don't want to move there? Because then you could like spread out. She's wearing a crop top on Air India? I don't think that would fly. Anyway, continuing on. This guy's shirt is bright. Goodness. Turn the lights off, bro. Alright, continuing on. What's in here? Oh, no lav modeled. Uninstalling. Man, the GPU has got to be melting for all this. I cannot believe we are at a time in simulation where we actually have passenger seating sitting in our airplane. This is wild. Like, what is going on here? This guy had some bad Indian food. He's like, when is the seatbelt sign going to come off? When's the seatbelt sign going to come off? XP72! Guys, we found XP72. XP72 is on board, and he's in 30G, I think. XP72. Good to see you, my man. Wagwan, brethren. This is an interesting setup here. Do not believe that is up to the code of conduct for U.S. Army. This guy's balling, though. Look at this guy. He's got 2 empty seats here. Look at this guy. What kind of window view does he have? Dude, this guy's got the best seat in the house. He's got nobody next to him. He's got a perfect wing view. Why couldn't we give XP... dude, Key 6, I know. We need to get XP and upgrade. That's unbelievable. We'll see if... Let's somebody get Umberto on the phone. We need to upgrade XP 72. He should not be back here. Whoa. Mike Tyson wannabe is here. And then this lady is like just trying not to have any conversation. What's she doing on her phone, actually? She's on her phone. She's just pretending to be on her... She's pretend texting so she doesn't have to talk to this guy because he's a serial killer. Anyway, Mike Tyson. This is getting wild. Whoa, she is crazy. We're just going to skip that one there. That'll get this channel demonetized. Continuing on. Nice little family vacation here. Dad is like, leave me alone. Mom is enjoying it. And she's like, when can I get on the Wi-Fi? I mean, there's obviously some repeat customers, but there's a surprising amount of different faces and bodies on this. This is pretty wild. This guy's going on a honeymoon, but then he's sitting next to this guy and his grandma, and he hates his life because he was supposed to be going on his honeymoon, but she called off the wedding, so he's taking his grandma. And then his best man and girlfriend are going with him. So he's bumming. This guy's stuck next to his 2 daughters. Wants to kill himself, probably. Looks like it. I don't know what this guy's doing, but this looks like a Terry. We've got some Terrys on board here. Suspect. Dude, could you imagine being in this seat right here? This poor dude. He's not only is he next to a flatulent old man, he's literally on the last row of a 777-300, and he's right next to the lavatory. I mean, that's got to be pretty miserable. We need to upgrade this gentleman as well. And then back to the aft lavatory. What are all the flight attendants doing? Are they all hiding back here? Yeah, that's where they'll be hiding. Wow. That is something else. I cannot believe that what's on the menu for catering any curry? I don't know, but I feel like when I see the Air India 777s in Newark, I can definitely smell them from the ramp area when they open up. Dude. I'm not even kidding you. I was parked next to one time. I was in Newark. This was actually when I was flying a 190 charter flight, literally parked like 4 or 5 gates down from a 777 Air India, and I was smelling Indian food. I'm not even joking. I was smelling Indian food on the ramp, and I realized I was downstream of an Air India 777-300. No joke, dude. And I remember this specifically because I lost my fancy flying sunglasses that I had for, I don't know, probably 5 years on that trip. So I remember it very vividly. Indian food's incredibly good. No, it is, Sam. I actually like, speaking of Indian food, I actually had some the other day. We had, my wife made the, it's just like a curry chicken on rice, but it's like the fancy kind. It takes all day to make the sauce and all that stuff. And we're not Indian by any means, but I do enjoy it. I will not eat Indian food on the road, though. I don't eat Indian food when I'm flying or on the road. Been there, done that, crossed that bridge. Never want to cross it again. Some curry and naan, yes. Ooh, dude, I love naan. And if you don't dip your naan, you need to get help. Seek help. If you just eat your naan plain without dipping it in anything, you need to go seek some mental help. It was a long walk. It sure was, wasn't it? We're eventually going to do our green dot. But let's just go ahead and get back up here in the first class. Well, let's see. Is there any open seats here for XP? Look, we could have had XP upgraded right here. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Are those 7.3 thrust levers for the Bravo? No, they're not metallic. They are, they're still plastic, but they're the higher quality than anything else I've felt that I've ordered. So it's a definite upgrade. There are a ton of different Bravo mods on the market. I've ordered multiple. You guys have seen multiple on this channel. But Blackbird controls is the way to go. I'm telling you right now, they are the way to go. Now, right now, Blackbird only has 2 controls out. He's got the 7.3 and 7.27. There are more in the works, but if you're looking for 7.3 or 7.2, don't waste your money on anything else. Just get the Blackbird ones. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Okay, look here. We do not have a shirt in the coat closet, so that is proper. Unlike Fly Navy, who's a savage and flies with his shirt off and his hat on. Anyway, all right, we're back up front. How we looking? Cabin correctly modeled with the last 232. Yeah, it is a good cab. It's a good cabin, man. It really is. No backup shirt. The backup shirt stays in the bag. The backup shirt stays in the bag. Did you hear about the Flightbox 380? It's going to be 20 gigabytes, almost as big as Microsoft. Most of it are 8K textures. That sounds like an FPS issue. I did not know that. AJ would leave his pants hung up there. Yeah, no, absolutely, Lauren. Yeah, fly in his underwear. What underwear? That's why no one would fly with AJ. He'd be the #1 bid avoid. Air India pilots fly shirtless. How do you fix the yellow armpits on the shirt? Do you know what? That is a problem. What I've felt is like you have to get new undershirts faster, because I've tried different deodorants, and I use like aluminum free. You should too. If you are using aluminum based deodorants, you shouldn't be doing it. Get an aluminum free one. Trust me, it'll help you in the long term, probably, most likely. But without getting into the Lear 450 talk, yeah, you just got to buy more undershirts. That minimizes the pitting of pilot shirts. I use a bamboo undershirt, Oscar. I can't remember who makes it. They're super, super comfortable now. Aluminum free for the win. I'll keep the aluminum on my airplane skin. Exactly, Sam. We'll be aluminum free aluminum free deodorant, but we're up here breathing in like recycled TCP oils and all kinds of toxins using the Santicide X. But at least we'll be aluminum free, right? Good afternoon, Captain. Quick question for you. When you're on final, when using the bird, when you flare, are you timing the bird? No, Leaper. You're looking outside all the time, dude. All the time. Now, in SimWorld, I know a lot of people look at the foot per minute and like try to make sure your eyes are in here. In real life, I don't even look at the PFD under 50 feet. It's outside, inside, outside, inside, outside, outside, touchdown. Pretty much is how that works out in real life. Because if you're looking here, you don't have any peripheral vision. Now, if you fly in VR, what is surprising to me, and I actually noticed this when I tried XP's VR headset, you get that peripheral vision back in, which is wild. Because in real life, when you're sitting up here, you can sense the rising of the ground much easier through your peripheral vision than just looking. If you're staring straight ahead, especially at night, if you're just staring right here, you're going to drive that airplane right into the ground. It's going to be a firm landing. So real world landing techniques, eyes are outside, you're using your peripheral vision to judge the sink rate. That way you can arrest the descent and have a nice smooth rudder. I don't know what's worse, the stuff in the airliners flying those 100 low lead planes for all those hours. Yeah, I don't know either, Sam. Yes, I know. All right, let's take a look at our time to go. Can we step right now? Let's just step right now. 390. We should be able to do it. Up to 390, 0326. That's 02. So we got an hour and a half to break through our green dot. Let's go ahead and get that set up here. I'm going to start getting green dot set up as we climb up here. Yeah. What is this? Oh, that's the one. Now, I didn't set this up pre-stream, so I'm not entirely sure. We're going to have to do a little back. You're going to have to see the setting up of the IFE. Did you know bamboo fabric is rayon? High-quality shirts are 100% cotton. Interesting. Did not know that. I like to use panda fur. Did you know pandas aren't real, Gustavo? There's a good reason why they're actually expensive and require proper care. I prefer the bamboo. I prefer the panda fur t-shirts. If you get into the EASA ATPL, they even ask you about what kind of deodorant and skin lotion it really. I mean, good on them, because in the U.S. they really don't care. The sooner that you end it, the less money they got to pay out in insurance benefits. They really don't care. There's a brand of white shirts that are super comfortable called Ann Collar. You should look them up. I'll have to look them up, man. It's called Ann Collar, Jeremy. I will check it out. Captain, I contacted Roberto for Throttletek. We're working on a 4-month lead time currently. Going to order as soon as I understand wire transfers. They're not common in the UK. Eastern T3. Awesome, man. Very cool. What Throttletek are you interested in getting? Yeah, I'm not sure how the transfers go in the for UK wire transfer. I know it's a little bit different. At least even in the US, the whole ordering process is a little bit different than normal or what most people are accustomed to. But it is a legit company. You will get the product. There is a lead time, as you mentioned, 4 months out at least. So that is, if you are, here's the thing. I've almost, depending on when the Bluebird drops, I might just set up my home sim to be a 757, 767. That's all it's going to be. So I will be flying that airplane like crazy. And this is going to be the baby that's going to be doing it, because it's essentially, it is a 7.6 and the 7.5 is almost identical. The only difference is, depending on which 7.5 Quadrant is modeled, I need to see, that's a point. Is there a screenshot of the 7.5 from Bluebird throttles? There's actually 3 different variants of throttles that were available for Boeing operators on the 7.5. I thought that was kind of interesting. They all do the same thing. They all have the same functionality. Just aesthetically, there's like 3 different versions. You have time to wait till 25. Yeah, well, that's the thing. So if you are going to look for a 7.5, 7.6 throttle, now would be the time to order it as you get into the holidays, because it's going to be 4, 5, 6 months probably till you get it. They are made to order replica quadrants. So it takes a long time. They are handmade, and but it's worth it in the end. So yeah, John, I saw that too. Yeah, Sam, I was surprised when I saw that too. I was very surprised. But the thing is, it's hard. I couldn't find that many different photos of the 7.5 cockpit. Okay, let's get in here and let's get ready for our green dot breakdown. We're 390, seatbelt signs are off, everything looks good. It's a wonderful day. So we're going to hop over here to our standard green dot aviation view. And I'm going to set up our camera. So normally I have this pre-set up. I do apologize. You got to actually see behind the scenes of what's going on here. Let me bring up the TV. Actually, this might work out. You know what? That works out just fine, I think, right? We're a little bit there we go. That's close enough, right? Yeah, that's close enough. Maybe up a little bit. Nope, that's the wrong way. Perfect. So we will save you there. Done. Team Vodka, just in time. Good to see you, dude. Team Vodka, you got to see the departure, dude. This flight is so fun. This flight is so fun. I'm still pretty quiet. Am I pretty quiet still? I shouldn't be. I think because I had the camera, I had to move the mic out of my face. Let's see how many times Green Dot says grave danger. Get your, we need to get the emoji. We need a grave danger emoji. Real quick, before we do go live here, I want to... make the shout out. Well, I was gonna post it, but it's fine, guys. Again, this is if you're new to the channel, I know we got 500 people here for this. That's awesome. Thank you all for tuning in. This is one of my favorite things to do here on the channel because we don't do it every flight. We only do it on the longer haul flights, 2.5, 3 hours plus before we decide to do one of these in-flight entertainments. This is by Green Dot Aviation. I did get approval to use his content on this channel, and that's a huge shout out. So make sure you go to his channel, like and subscribe his video, leave a comment, help his algorithms out. Because that's just, that's good. It's very generous of somebody who spends lots of time and effort to make these videos and then would allow me to share the same videos on my content. So that's a huge deal, and make sure you either leave a comment or say thank you and check out his channel. If you've never seen Green Dot Aviation before, it's actually a really good, I like his videos. They're more, even though that he is on course to get his pilot's license right now, they're almost more objective than some other air crash investigation videos because of people have their own biases that are in the industry. So when we have a very objective video, then I bring in my experience and my bias on top of it. So I think it's a good mix of content here. All right, as I said, if I get some shares on that 7576 Throttle, you can have all the emojis. Well, Zippy, if you make your way out to the US of A, you have to come down, man. You have to come to the great state of Texas and give it a shot. Bill's Mafia, we are watching, I'm going to turn the sim all the way down. We are watching the the Thai Flight 311, an Airbus A310 that crashed going into, not Paro, it was Kathmandu, which is where they go to Paro from. So it's really applicable. This is a CFIT incident. I believe I watched this video when it came out. This one's an older one. I think it's almost 2 years old. So it's been a long time since I've seen it. So it should be good for this one. Key 6, you're going to be in Texas in December. Well, hit me up, dude. Hit me up. Leaper says, I checked green dots and I subbed. That's awesome, man. Awesome. All right, let's get into it. Make sure the audio is good. Let's go.
On July 31st, 1992, a Thai Airways Airbus A310 carrying 113 passengers and crew mysteriously vanished over the Himalayan mountains in Nepal. There had been no distress signal from the pilots. Days later, the wreckage was discovered miles from anywhere the plane should have been flying. How had the crew of this flight ended up so far off course? When investigators analysed the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder, they were baffled. Kathmandu had no radar, but this alone did not cause the accident. It was monsoon season in Nepal, but this alone did not cause the accident.
Wow, look at those layers.
There was a mechanical issue with the aircraft, but this did not cause the accident either. The primary cause of this accident was something which could strike any aircraft at any time, anywhere in the world. For years, Flight 311 would serve as a case study for airline pilots worldwide, and as a cautionary tale for anyone flying into mountainous areas. This is the story of Thai Airways Flight 311.
Dun dun dun. All right, audio's good, everything's good. So, yeah, we're setting the picture. A310 going into Kathmandu. Maybe that's where I've seen this. Maybe, or I learned about it because I feel like we've used this incident as study material during recurrent things of that nature when we talk about safety, cockpit gradients. I believe that played a factor into this as well. But yeah, this airplane just disappeared from radar. It took a while for them to figure out what happened. And when you find out what happened, you're going to see some very eerie similarities to what happened to an American 757 in Cali, Colombia. So let's get into it. Blackbird's in the house. What's going on, man? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Blackbird Controls, guys, if you did have questions, I know there were some of y'all talking about Blackbird earlier. He's back in the chat. We will be using the Blackbird levers tomorrow, most likely. So keep an eye out for those. Yeah, this is X-Plane 11, I think. He's going back and forth between X-Plane 11 and Microsoft.
31st, 1992, 10:30 in the morning. Thai Airways Flight 311 lifted off from the runway at Bangkok's Don Muang International Airport in Thailand and headed northwest for the 3-hour journey to Kathmandu in Nepal. On board were 99 passengers and 14 crew. The passengers were a mixture of Nepalese people returning home, Thai nationals, and tourists from 12 countries around the world, including the United States, Japan, Belgium, Germany, and Finland, among others.
So what's interesting here, this is not related to the video per se, the INI A310 in X-Plane 11, I think was the best modeled airplane that X-Plane ever saw. Crazy. It still looks good. This is definitely X-Plane 11, which is basically X-Plane 12. But as far as the model of the airplane goes, they were leaps and bounds ahead of anybody else.
Many of these passengers had booked this trip so that they could experience the breathtaking Himalayan mountains firsthand. In the cockpit were two pilots, Captain Prida Sutimai, 41 years old, and First Officer Funfat Bunyaye, 52 years old.
Funfat.
Both were experienced pilots. However, there was a stark difference in the authority which each of them could command on the flight deck.
Okay, this is going back to early 90s. We've talked about it before, cockpit gradient. What does that mean? It means you got a high-tier captain who is the be-all, end-all, say-all, which at the end of the day, a decision has to be made, and that decision rests on the shoulders of the captain. But in today's era of aviation, what we try to do is minimize that gradient of the captain being the high and mighty and the FO just being somebody sitting in the right seat moving the gear lever. We try to minimize that slope, so have a minimal cockpit gradient. Back in the early 90s, that was not necessarily the case, and especially in Asian culture, it was extremely common to have a very high cockpit gradient.
The captain had been earmarked by many at Thai Airways as someone who would rise to the top ranks of the company very quickly, while the first officer had been marked early on as, quote, not captain material.
Uh-oh.
It was understood that he would remain a first officer for the rest of his career.
So, I don't know, there must have been something in training to prevent him from becoming a captain. I have seen and known people that will maybe fail an upgrade multiple times, to which then they are asked to remain in the right seat. Now, those cases are far and few between. I've only seen a handful of those. I don't know what happened in this case, but it obviously sounds like there is something going on there with the first officer where his reputation is a little bit tarnished. For the rest of his career, yeah, Zippy, that would be, I don't know if it's only for that airline or if his reputation would then follow him if he went anywhere else. But something had to happen. I don't know if he gets into it. I don't think so. I'd be very curious as to what happened that they prevented him from ever becoming a captain. Let's see what else kind of experience
This
they
power
have.
differential would go on to play a decisive role in the events on this day. The aircraft being used for this flight was a 4-year-old Airbus A310.
I guess he's not going to get really into their experience. 4-year-old A310. I do love the A310. But, yeah, Team Vodka, it can happen. Like I said, failed upgrade 2 or 3 times, or if you're a captain and you have a catastrophic or negligent scenario happen and you're pinned as being negligent, you can be asked to degrade or to demote and or be let go. So you have your options there. It just is really a case-by-case basis. Now, it's not very common. I only know maybe 2 or 3. I'm trying to think if I know any more. Really only 3 people that I know personally that have been in this similar scenario. So it's not common in the U.S. I would imagine it was a little bit more common in Asian culture, though.
The A310 was a modern passenger jet in 1992 with a spotless safety record. It served the medium to long-haul market, and nowadays its equivalent is the Airbus A330. At the time of this flight, the A310 was 9 years into passenger service, and had never been involved in a fatal accident. Thai Airways had 4 of these aircraft. By the end of the decade, they will have lost 2 of them to fatal crashes. The
Wait,
cockpit had a
they lost 2?
whole market, and nowadays its equivalent is the Airbus A330.
Who lost 2 A300s?
At the time of this flight, the A310 was 9 years into passenger service, and had never been involved in a fatal accident. Thai Airways had 4 of these aircraft. By the end of the decade, they will have lost 2 of them to fatal crashes.
Oh, wow. So they lost 2 A310s. Thai did at the end of the decade. Wow, that's crazy. I wonder what the other one was. Yeah, hell of a safety record. I would think that it could make for a very uncomfortable situation for not just the pilot, but the whole pilot corps. Yeah, Team Vodka, you don't go around boasting about it. Now, the most recent instance of this, it's normally kept pretty close to the vest within the training department. So it's not like they broadcast among your peers, oh, this is so-and-so, they will never upgrade, they will not be quality, or they're not captain material. It's more of a internal training department collectively agrees that they are not fit to be a PIC, and then whoever they tell, a rumor gets out, that's how it spreads. It's not like a publicly known thing. Now, if you ask them straight up, you're like, hey, why are you still an FO? Or some guys actually will stay in FO for a very long time because they don't want to give up their schedule, which is a very real thing. I mean, I've flown with FOs that are senior to me because they just don't want to upgrade because they don't want to lose their schedule flexibility, or they don't want to lose their type of schedules that they bid for. So just because someone's an FO doesn't mean they can't become a captain, but it can mean that.
The cockpit had all the bells and whistles of a modern airliner at the time, including large electronic displays and advanced autopilot and navigation systems.
Jeez, AJ, 50% is Dak Prescott numbers. Get that scrub out of here, AJ. I agree, man. Dak needs to go. Don't even. We're having a great video, and AJ comes in here and starts talking about the Cowboys. Why'd you have to remind me? Thanks again, dude. Appreciate $3 super chat. Ugh.
However, as we will see, this automation alone is no guarantee of safety. In fact, on this day, the very complexity of this automation would actually work against the pilots. The aircraft climbed to its cruising altitude, and for the first 2.5 hours, the flight progressed as normal. At 12:30 in the afternoon, as the flight neared Kathmandu, the pilots tried to make contact with air traffic control. Initially, they were met with no response. This was not unusual at Kathmandu, however. The city is situated in the foothills of the tallest and most extensive mountain range in the world, the Himalayas. The airport lies between two mountain ranges, which border it to the north and to the south. South of the airport, the mountains reach altitudes of up to 9,000 feet, whereas to the north, they extend as high as 26,000 feet. For this reason, large aircraft always approach the airport from the south.
So is that why we don't have time acceleration on, do we? Why are we going so fast? That's literally, if you look out the window, it looks like we're going so fast, but it must be because the terrain is so high, we're that much closer to the terrain. That's crazy. Dak jump scare. It's AJ's revenge. It is. It is. Can senior first officers still make good money? Oh, yeah, Leaper. They absolutely can make good money. Now, will they make captain money? No. But what kind of will they make captain money at their seniority level? No, but they can probably make more than junior captain money, you know, because if you know how to work your schedule, you can get a lot of soft time. What soft time is you get paid for things where you're not necessarily flying. So for instance, you could have a trip. I'll just give you a rough example of what soft time is. Maybe it's a trip that pays 15 hours, but you're only flying 5 hours during that whole 15-hour pay credit window, just the way that the duty periods line up of when you're actually flying. You could have overrides for airframe, heavy airframe, or 321, whatever it is. You could have night overrides. So those types of trips that have a lot of soft time go to the more senior pilots. So if you're a super senior FO, you can literally pick and set your schedule. And if you're a senior captain, you can do the same thing, but it's much harder to get to a senior captain spot because it takes a lot longer. But that's why those senior FOs don't give that up, because you can make much more than what your hourly rate says, and you control your schedule, which is huge. So that's why there are some career FOs, like no doubt about it. It's just, and I'll just be honest with you, it's a lot more stress-free. Like at the end of the day, you're both responsible for what happens up there, but when push comes to shove, the captain has the ultimate controlling authority, and if somebody's got to take the fall, it's coming back on the captain. So it's really one of the best jobs in aviation as a super senior FO, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Where the mountains are lower. In mountainous regions, radio communication can be patchy, and the pilots of Flight 311 were no strangers to this feature of mountain flying. The location of Kathmandu's airport also posed some other unique challenges to pilots flying into it. The prevailing wind in the area meant that when the runway was first laid down in 1949, it was built from north to south. This created a challenge for pilots flying into the airport, especially those flying larger aircraft. It meant that once they had passed over the mountains, they had to descend steeply to make it to the airport.
Mm-hmm. We've done this approach in the
To add to all of this, Flight 311 was arriving during the peak of monsoon season. The entire region was shrouded in heavy rain and dense clouds.
Feast your eyes out,
With nothing
AJ.
but whiteness out the windscreen, the pilots would have to navigate using only their instruments. And finally, to top it all off, Kathmandu's Tribhuvan airport did not have radar.
So this is a
Controllers had to
90s.
rely on position reports from pilots to build a mental picture of where the aircraft in their airspace were.
Right, this is a huge part here. I was kind of talking over it. So now Kathmandu, if I'm not mistaken, it actually has a much higher quality, or actually has a radar surveillance, where back in the 90s it was nothing. It was literally NDB, VOR navigation, no radar from the approach controller due to the terrain, and you were on your own until you were on the ground, pretty much. Gustavo says, sometimes flexible schedule of being senior allows to go, yes. Yeah, flexible schedule allows for side business, master's, PhD, family. What I'm doing right here. Like, I wouldn't consider myself an ultra senior captain, but I'm senior enough as to where I essentially have a part-time flying job. And Leonidas, you were asking that. It really depends on the airline and how they allow you to set your schedule, what kind of work rules you have. So for next month, I'm literally flying 2 days. Unless I choose to pick up. Because of my seniority, I have vacation, which is paid time off for the month of November for a couple of weeks, and then I have a trip that I'm going to do, and then I might pick up something else. But that type of quality of life is a huge aspect of aviation that not everybody thinks about. Like, yes, you can chase the dollar value, but the work rules are huge in that as well. And like Gus said, allows you to do other things while not flying, and it's just, that's why being a senior FO is a good gig. It really is.
At around 12:30 in the afternoon, the pilots finally got through to Kathmandu Air Traffic Control. The controller cleared them for an instrument approach known as the Sierra VOR circling approach, which would have them landing from the north on runway 20. However, the captain was not happy with this clearance. He did not want to bring his aircraft in from the north because, given the poor visibility, it would not be safe to circle to land at runway 20 using only instruments, considering how close this would bring the aircraft to the surrounding terrain. He asked the first officer to calculate the fuel required to fly to their alternate airport of Calcutta in India. This was over 600 kilometers away.
Ooh.
And will be a significant diversion for the passengers.
So that's interesting. So they're doing all the right things here. They have to do a full procedure approach. Now, when you're dispatched to an airport, you have the fuel to fly to that airport and do a full procedure approach, go missed, and then hold, and then off to your alternate. But when you are actually, and like we just say that, and that's what we know, what we got fuel-wise, but when you are actually getting ready to do that, let's say you go into your destination like this crew is, you know the weather is at minimums, you know you will be shooting the full procedure approach. Now you're going to double check those numbers for sure, because you're going to have to do this full procedure. What if I go missed? You want to know how much fuel you have if you have to go around. Do you have enough fuel to do another approach? And when your alternate is far away like it is here, you will be surprised at how much gas you'll actually need to go ahead and get all the way back to that alternate. That's why sometimes when these things pop up, you might change your alternate to something closer. Now, I don't know if there's anything closer to Kathmandu that would allow them to minimize that diversion fuel, but that's something that you toss around and think about in real life is like, hey, we are at minimums at this airport. Can we suggest maybe getting a closer alternate so we can have another shot at the approach should we need it? But that's what they're trying to calculate right here. They're working on getting fuel done. And honestly, this should already be done. They should have done this in cruise, not as they're getting ready to start the approach. So you're kind of setting yourself up behind the 8 ball. If I know I'm going to do a full procedure approach, geez, especially in an A310 in Kathmandu, I want all those calculations done before we start diving into the soup. It should be all eyes on everything that's happening for the approach specifically.
However, moments later, the controller notified the crew of a change in wind direction and cleared them for a straight-in approach to runway 02. They were to fly the so-called Sierra approach, which would involve them flying first to a waypoint called Romeo, about 75 kilometers south of the airport, and then straight towards the runway, descending steeply after passing over the mountains to the south of the airport. Everything was now in place for a relatively normal landing at Kathmandu. As the crew set the aircraft up for the approach,
Romeo. What was the beacon on that American 7.5? Was that also Romeo? That's kind of interesting. If you know what I'm talking about, Gus, I know you know what I'm talking about. What was the fix that caused that issue over Cali?
they began lowering the flaps. Because of the steepness of this approach, the crew were required to use full flaps, as these would provide the necessary drag to stop the aircraft from getting too fast during its steep descent. However, at this point the crew encountered a problem. When they tried to lower the flaps to 15 degrees, they got stuck. Without the ability to use flaps, there was no way that the crew would be able to land at Kathmandu. They called the controller asking for a diversion to Calcutta. However, before the controller could give this clearance, the crew managed to get the flaps working again by simply retracting them and then extending them.
Okay, now I don't know what the ECAM procedure is on the A310, but that's a procedure that you do on the narrow body too. Your flaps get stuck, the procedure is going to direct you to then move the flap handle back to whatever it was and then try again to see what else you can get. Obviously, it looks like it's very similar here on the 310. They fixed the problem. You can see already things are stacking up. They're thinking about fuel when they shouldn't be thinking about fuel. Now they got a flap issue. That's taking time and distraction. And they're shooting approach to minimums in Kathmandu.
They informed the controller that they had fixed the issue and that they wanted to continue the approach into Kathmandu.
That's interesting. So when you commit to a diversion, you normally always go with that committed decision. This one's a gray area because it's a technical issue that they fixed, so I don't see the harm in continuing. If they had been given a vector to already start the diversion, then I think you would continue the diversion, but I think that's a pretty
It's now about 20 kilometers from the airport,
moot
however,
point here.
and it was too high above the ideal approach path. It would not be safe to descend for a landing from here, so the crew asked air traffic control if they could turn back to the Romeo waypoint behind them and then try the approach again from there. Investigators would later notice something strange about the flight at this point. It appeared that the captain was making all of the radio transmissions, as well as flying the aircraft. This is a stark departure from how workload is supposed to be managed on commercial airliners. In aviation, there are clearly defined roles in the cockpit, where one pilot is designated pilot flying and the other pilot not flying. The pilot not flying carries out duties like talking to air traffic control and reading the checklists, while the pilot flying naturally flies the aircraft. This splitting of the workload is essential for safety, especially during busy phases of flight such as approach and landing. It prevents any one flight crew member from becoming task saturated.
All right, so that's big. We've talked about that here as well. Something is going on. Something must have happened on this flight on the way there where the captain either said, look, you're going to just sit there, be quiet, do as I say. I'm going to do the whole show here. That would not fly in today's day and age, especially in U.S. aviation. You have a designated pilot flying and a designated pilot monitoring. I've been a part of a situation where I deeply despised the guy I was flying with. Only one time in my career have I ever been pushed to that point, and I literally said, you have the flight controls, I'm going to work the radios. And even though I really disliked who I was flying with and we had our differences, it 100% became about just do your job and get home safe. Like, all I said was checklist items and or anything to air traffic control. As much as, it, even in that scenario, I would not have been like, okay, I'm flying and doing the radios. It was just, you have to maintain that separation no matter how much you don't like each other. Somebody's got to fly and somebody's got to work the radios and work the checklist. Because if you don't, you're going to set yourself up at some point. I guarantee you it will come back to bite you. So obviously this is early on in the CRM days, and it came to bite these guys pretty quick. So the captain is very saturated, working both radios and flying the airplane, even though he may not seem like it. I don't know if he's trying to just show the FO how to do it or if there's some malice towards the FO, but this is not a cockpit atmosphere that you want to be a part of.
When the captain requested a turn back to begin the approach again, he received no response from air traffic control. In fact, he called 4 times, and each time received no response. The aircraft was getting ever closer to the airport, and was now barely 10 kilometers away. At this point, still with no answer from the controller, the captain decided to take matters into his own hands.
That's never a good idea.
He started to turn back towards the Romeo waypoint behind him. He chose a right-hand turn instead of a left-hand turn, because the controller had previously advised them that there were other aircraft off to their left-hand side. To turn the aircraft, the captain used the heading select mode of the autopilot. He instructed the first officer to locate the Romeo waypoint using the flight management computer. As the first officer tried to locate Romeo, the captain started to climb from his current altitude of 10,500 feet to 18,000 feet, and continued twisting the heading select knob so that the aircraft continued its right-hand turn.
Okay, this is something that you never want to do. You never just want to fly off of approach in a non-radar environment. You're now no longer on a published part of an approach or an arrival. You're just flying willy-nilly. I don't know if they had terrain on, This is early 90s. I don't know if they had the terrain displays yet. I don't know if that was mandated. I don't know the configuration of this A310. I would guess not, because I think they would have noticed something if it wasn't. But that is just a no-no. You do not just start self-vectoring yourself in a non-radar environment in IMC. That's just, you are literally asking for issues. Robert Rendazzo's in the chat. Good to see you. We're going to have to animate the pop-out screens in first business for you. I get uncomfortable sitting back here in coach. That's true. You know what, Mr. Rendazzo, for the next in-flight entertainment, we will pop him out in first class. How dare me? I totally forgot. Well, we're looking here back in the coach class. We could have had the nice big monitors up in first class. We'll have to set up a separate in-flight entertainment for that. I'll keep that in mind, my friend. Thanks for joining the stream. Good to see you, man.
He reported his actions to the controller, who told him to descend back to 11,500 feet because there were other aircraft at higher altitudes nearby. The captain acknowledged this instruction and dialed this descent into the autopilot. There was a lot going on in the cockpit at this point. The crew were setting up their aircraft for another approach. They were trying to locate a waypoint for that approach using the flight management computer. They were turning and climbing and then descending, and on top of all of this, they were also talking to air traffic control. The human mind can only deal with a small number of tasks at the same time. In this case, the captain had allowed himself to become overwhelmed.
Absolutely. He's definitely saturated at this point. Think about it. You initiated a climb. Now you initiate a descent. You're in the turn. You're in a heading. You're talking to air traffic control. The FO is trying to reload the box, even though you don't like him. Obviously, there's something going on here. There is way too much going on while IMC in terrain. You're not out over the ocean. You're not out over the plains of Indiana. Like, this is just setting yourself up for a catastrophic accident. V1 is a man of the people. That's why he's in coach. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I honest. Exactly.
In aviation safety speak, task saturated. There were simply 100%. Too many things to do in the time available. That's why, as all of this was going on, the captain continued to turn the heading select knob to the right. Without realizing it, and with no visual reference out the windscreen to track his position, he had brought the aircraft all the way back around to a northerly heading. Instead of doing a 180-degree turn onto a heading of 220, he had done a full 360 onto a heading of 022. And with both his attention and that of the first officer being fully focused on getting Romeo to show up on the flight management computer.
Because he's probably trying to micromanage the first officer. That's why they're in this position in the first place, right? They don't like, so I guarantee you he's probably micromanaging, saying, okay, no, select this, do that, all while spinning that heading selector around, going past where he should have been leveling out.
Neither pilot realized that they had done a complete circle, and were now flying straight towards some of the highest mountains in the world. When the first officer finally managed to key in the Romeo waypoint, the flight management computer displayed a 180-degree turn on the navigation display. This made no sense to the pilots. In their heads, they were heading south, and Romeo was ahead of them. Why was the flight management computer telling them that Romeo was behind them? For 6 full minutes, both pilots were preoccupied with troubleshooting the flight management system. 6 minutes is a long time in a jet aircraft.
6 minutes, their heads down, looking in the box. This is why you have to have this. This just gets me frustrated. This is why this is so avoidable. You've got to have somebody flying the airplane and somebody doing the non-flying stuff. Okay, whether that's work the checklist, talk to ATC, mess with the box. Now, granted, in modern day, yes, we mess with the box. Pilot flying will manipulate the box, but you're in a critical phase of flight here, near the highest terrain in the world. This is not just a tall mountain in Colorado. This is the highest terrain in the world. And they're 6 minutes heads down looking at the box. Who's flying the airplane? Don Pellegrino, thanks for the $5 super chat, my man. Captain, good to see you again. Don't crack a windshield. Hey, man, thank you for the $5 super chat. I'm going to try not to, my friend. I'm going to try not to.
In this time, the aircraft, traveling at over 500 kilometers an hour, had covered a distance of over 50 kilometers. And this was 50 kilometers in the wrong direction, straight towards the mountains. As the pilots tried to understand what was happening, the controller got in touch, asking what their distance was from Kathmandu. The crew said that they were 5 miles from the airport. This made little sense to the controller. As far as he was aware, the crew had turned back towards Romeo minutes ago. How could they be just 5 miles from Kathmandu? Meanwhile, the pilots had been so busy trying to set up their navigation equipment that they had lost all situational awareness. It didn't strike them as odd that they were just 5 miles from the airport, even though they should easily have been at least 20 miles from it at this point.
Okay, you're 5 miles from the airport. You've realized that you've lost situational awareness. What do? You start climbing right now. You start climbing, you figure out where you are, and you ask ATC to get you a heading out of there. Why can't you get radar vectors? Because they don't have radar at this time. This is early 90s. They don't have radar, so no radar vectors. But if you can tell them, hey, we are 5 miles southwest of the airport at 11,000, where do we go to avoid the terrain? Start a climb, start a turn this heading, and get out of there and reset. Let's see what they end up doing here.
When the controller asked them to confirm that they were really 5 miles away, the captain impatiently said that this was the case. The controller, perhaps due to the fact that he was relatively inexperienced, decided not to pursue the issue further.
Another Swiss cheese hole lining up, right? So not only do you have all this stuff going on in the cockpit, now you've got a controller that's inexperienced.
The captain had now managed to cow both his first officer and the air traffic controller into silence. In doing so, he had cut himself off from 2 useful sources of information, both of which were now his only chances of understanding the reality of his situation. A few minutes later, the first officer finally caught on to what was happening. He noticed that the navigation display compass showed the aircraft to be heading north. He said, "We're heading north, huh?" Yet the captain, convinced of his first officer's incompetence, did not absorb the import of this question. He thought the first officer was asking when they would turn back north, so he simply replied, "We'll turn back soon." The first officer never followed this up, even though it was becoming clear that the captain had become disorientated. In fact, the whole reason that the first officer even posed this as a question, "We're heading north, huh?" was that he had been intimidated by the captain throughout the flight. With a different captain, he might have phrased this as a statement, rather.
Now, that's a good, we've talked about this before, like how do you address something that to somebody that you're uncomfortable? Pose it as a question. This is, I mean, he's posing it as a question. Now, when it's a matter of flying into a mountain or not, then I would probably shy away from the question format and more of a terse statement, right? Hey, we're flying north towards the mountains. You know this, right? Even if you want to say it that way. You can't just sit there super passive and then not say anything, even though you think you might be going somewhere. If you think something is not right, you need to make sure the person next to you understands where you're coming from. That way you can get on the same page and avoid disaster. FO is going to sit back here and just, he assumes, he thinks maybe that the captain knows what he's talking about, but he doesn't want to say anything else. Not the cockpit atmosphere you want to be a part of. Dogface, thanks for upgrading, man, to commercial pilot. Appreciate you. Make sure you check out the latest shorts videos posted on the Discord, man, for the commercial pilots. Appreciate you, man.
Other than as a question. He had, after all, recognized that the plane was indeed heading north, yet he was afraid that a statement to this effect would prove too affronting for a captain of this temperament. Shortly after this, the ground proximity warning system sounded an alarm in the cockpit. It was detecting the rapidly rising terrain underneath the aircraft. The first officer asked the captain to turn around, but not forcefully enough. The captain was convinced that it was a false alarm, as he knew that the mountains to the south of the airport did not reach his aircraft's altitude of 11,500 feet.
Okay. But there is no good reason to ignore a ground proximity warning ever, especially IMC. Now, I say ever, let me take that back. IMC. You should never blatantly ignore a GIPWIZ warning, ever, especially IMC. Why do I say IMC? Because sometimes when you're up at like 38,000 feet and you cross directly above an aircraft 1,000 below you, you could get a 1,000 or a 2,500, depending on how high or low the person is below you. You can actually trigger a, at least in the Airbus anyway, and I know you can do it on other aircraft, the radar altimeter will pick up that airplane and it will think that you're lower than you are, or I've had the landing memo come up at 34,000 feet. So in that scenario, obviously it's different. But when you're on approach or flying into Paro or flying into Kathmandu or flying anywhere where there's terrain and your IMC, if you get a GIPWIZ, there is no valid excuse to ignore it. Unless otherwise specified by a chart. Like going into Paro, we're going to turn off the GIPWIZ because you have to. There's no other way to get in there without blaring at you the whole time. That's. Hey.
Just 16 seconds after the alarm first sounded, the aircraft slammed headlong into a vertical cliff face, 11,500 feet up the side of a mountain.
Ooh.
All 113 people on board were killed instantly. The impact was heard by local villagers, but because they were located in such a remote area, they could not get the word out to any authorities. For days, searchers looked for the aircraft in the mountains to the south of the airport, as this is where both the pilots and the air traffic controller thought that the aircraft was. Finally, several days after the crash, the local villagers managed to get in contact with the authorities and alert them to the wreckage they had found on the mountainside.
Wow.
It was instantly clear that there could have been no survivors. When investigators recovered and analysed the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder, they discovered a shocking picture of confusion in the cockpit in the flight's final minutes. If you've seen my previous video on the crash of American Airlines Flight 965, which occurred just 3 years after this incident, the loss of situational awareness here may ring a bell.
Now, what's crazy is Russo, the NDB, the American 965 was trying to attack, was Romeo as well. R was the identifier. That's a very eerie, just hair stand up on the back of your neck coincidence between these two accidents here. But,
in fact, the crew of Flight 965 had actually been given this flight as a case study on how not to operate an aircraft.
Wow.
Investigators cited this loss of situational awareness as the primary contributor to the crash of Flight 311. Contributing to this was a peculiar feature of the A310's navigation display. Investigators noted that its compass contained only numbers, and had no letters marking out the cardinal directions of north, south, east, and west. Had these been present on the display, the pilots may have noticed earlier that they were heading north, rather than south. The final report also went on to assign a role in the accident to the lack of sufficient simulator training by Thai Airways for the complex and high-terrain Kathmandu approach. It concluded that more thorough training for this approach would have imbued the pilots with a greater appreciation for the need to maintain situational awareness at all stages of the approach, and the necessity of effective crew resource management in achieving this. It also recommended that radar be installed at Kathmandu's airport, as this too would likely have prevented the accident.
Yeah, that's a big one there. I mean, they had this no radar, non-radar environment. It's a tough scenario to be in. That's a lot of Swiss cheese lining up, a lot of Swiss cheese.
The most far-reaching implications of this accident went much further than Nepal, however. Above all, the captain's domineering attitude in the cockpit represented a serious breakdown in crew resource management. He had decided early on that the first officer was incompetent, and as a result of this, he took upon himself a workload that was not sustainable, and
That's
that,
mistake
in fact,
number one.
caused him to commit a fatal error when he brought the aircraft on a 360-degree turn back towards the high terrain to the north of the airport. This attitude also led him to misinterpret the first officer's comment that the aircraft was heading north, rather than south, and moreover, to ignore both the first officer and the ground proximity warning system when it indicated that the aircraft was on a collision course with high terrain. This accident would never have happened had the captain simply shared his workload with the first officer and taken his concerns seriously during the flight. The crash of Thai Airways 311 became a case study taught to airline pilots around the world, which highlighted the importance of good crew resource management and maintaining situational awareness, especially in mountainous areas. As a result of this incident, and of a shockingly similar one which occurred just weeks after it, Tribhuvan is now a much safer airport to fly into.
There was a similar one weeks after. I wonder
Improvements
what
in
that
crew
was.
resource management training and technological advances in terrain avoidance avionics have also made these kinds of accidents far less prevalent in commercial aviation today, even compared to the 1990s. Special thanks to the...
That's a tough one to watch because you can just see all of the little things happening. Well, they're not really little, but you can see all these issues lining up all the way from the very get-go of the flight when the captain says, "Hey, I'm just going to do all the work here today. You're not competent of doing any of this." So that's problem number one, and after that just set the tone for everything else to collapse. Now, what's interesting here, and I'm going to hit on this, is he said that in the advent of CRM and JipWiz and different terrain, all that stuff, that's helped reduce these incidents. It absolutely has. But with that said, there are still several incidents and occurrences, rather, where crews, even in the most modern airplanes in today's aviation have gone CFIT or have gone very, very close to CFIT. Case in point, Las Vegas, several years ago, there was an Airbus going in to 26 left on a visual approach. They got cleared for the visual. The crew went directly to the final approach fix of Reelin and descended to the final approach fix altitude. If they descended off of the localizer to the final approach fix altitude at night over mountains, they got a jip whiz. They executed the jip whiz maneuver and everything was fine. Had they have not, they would have crashed into the mountain. And that's in modern day aviation. I mean, there's numerous stories like that. There was another one in Seattle. There was another one in, was it in, there might have been two in Vegas. I know there's been a few in South America, but these, even with all the technology available, when you get that jip whiz, you got to take that seriously. That has saved numerous aircraft in modern aviation, even with all these bells and whistles. It was a Pakistan 268, crashed 2 months later. I'm going to have to look that one up because that's interesting. I can't believe they lost one 2 months after that. Jeez. Was that also into Kathmandu? That's wild. Can you report, Captain, to the higher-ups if a scenario happened like that today, if they're all cocky and macho? Yeah, absolutely, David. So there's also, there's other departments available. Now, I don't know if, I'm sure, I would imagine Thai has a standards department, but in general terms, every airline has a standards, training and standards department, or I came drawing a blank on what it's actually called. But yeah, it's a standards division of the airline, where if somebody is being non-standard constantly, or you have a personal issue because of something, you can bring it up to that group of people, and then they will go ahead and take the necessary steps to try to remedy that situation. Pro standards, that's what I'm thinking of, pro standards. Most common term is professional standards, pro standards. So there are different avenues that you can take to report people that are doing that. But at the end of the day, there are still people that just are not that enjoyable to fly with. But you have to understand that you are in a two-crew environment. Even if you don't enjoy that person's company, you're still up there to do a job. You're getting paid to do it safely. And you got to make sure you put your safety and your tasks at hand above your own ego and your feelings, so that you can go ahead and get everybody on the ground safe. So that's a very frustrating one for me to watch, because it's just, you know what's happened. You know what's going to happen. If I had never known about that accident and I heard the first 10 minutes of that, where the captain's doing all the work and he doesn't want to talk to his FO, I can just tell you something bad's going to happen. And yes, if the jip whiz goes off, you follow the jip whiz procedure. The whole descending thing on visual is the number one jip whiz cause for us. Yeah, Sam, I would imagine that is more common for everybody. You know, descending on a visual approach at night. What do mountains look like at night? They look like nothing. They're just black holes. So when you're on a visual approach, that's, man, it drives me nuts, because that's another incident we had. I was in the schoolhouse, the training department, for my flight, for my freight operator, when we had a crew on a check ride crash, and they were both killed because they were descending to the final approach fix altitude off of the localizer. You never descend to the final approach fix altitude off of the established approach course. You don't do it. And guys do it to this day. And we get in habits of doing it when it's clear in a million and there's flat terrain. You're going into Atlanta, 2-5 left or whatever, and you get cleared for the visual. You're coming in from a 45. What do? You descend down to the final approach fix altitude, because they're going to keep you fast. You want to stay fast, so you want to get down first. And in that scenario, that works. But at night, if you develop that habit over and over again, it's a bad habit to have. And at night, you get cleared for visual approach, and you're not over Flatland, Georgia. You're over somewhere in Columbia, or you're going into Denver or something. Well, maybe not Denver, but you get the point. It's not a good habit to have. Yeah, one thing, even nighttime VMC, Sam, even if I do, like, if I ever do it, I always say, hey, I know we're off the localizer, but we're visual. I know there's no terrain. I'm going to descend down to the final approach fix altitude. I always say something, because I think it's weird when other guys do it and don't say anything. even if I think they know what they're doing, I would feel better if they just said something. So I take that upon myself to say it to the guy I'm flying with, like, hey, I know we're off the loc. It's visual. There's no terrain. I'm going to descend down here. We should be good. You good with that? Or, you know, if they have a problem, to say something. But if you just, because it could be, you could be vectored in on this. Like, think about Vegas. Vegas is a great example because, let me pull it up here. There are so many times where, depending on the aircraft's position, you could be just fine. But if you come in on a different vector because you were avoiding weather or anything like that, you've literally just set yourself up to fly right into terrain and you didn't even know. Let's just look at Las Vegas approach 26 left ILS. I'll show you. Zulu approach. So right here, this is what happened. The crew that was coming in, so there is a mountain here at 5,400 feet. Okay, what is the platform altitude at Reelan? 3,800 feet. You are below the terrain. They were out over the water, which you can't see, but it's out off this side here. And they got cleared for the visual on the arrival. If you look at the arrival, let's just, I don't know which one. I want to say they were on, I think they were coming from the east. On the Rockstar. Yeah, so you're out here over Preno or something, or even Halen. So if I were to draw, can I draw on this one? Yeah, so let's just say Reelan is right here. Okay, there are mountains right here. So if you get cleared for the approach, and instead of going out and well, that's a bad example, and flying like right through here, they cut the corner to go to Reelan, or maybe Reelan's right here. You get what I'm saying? So they cut the corner and they flew right across this terrain. Had they have not obeyed the GIPWIS, they would have hit the mountain. Now, and that's a common one. That's happened more than once. You can probably see it on this chart here. Sectional chart. Yeah, you can probably see it better here. So you've got terrain all right through here, and that final approach is right on the edge of those mountains. But, you know, maybe you're coming from the north all the time. It's never a factor, never a factor. Then that one time that you're on a funky vector, it's a factor. So, not a good one. Not good. Not good. All right, we got to figure out where we are. Let's get back inside here. Speaking of, let me have some more coffee. Fubar, what's going on, man? Good to see you, dude. How you doing? Speaking of terrain, let's put terrain back up. Let's put weather radar back up just in case. I'm seeing some clouds. I don't like these clouds. Wow, look at that. That is some epic flying right there. V1, can you show us an approach chart what you mean? Yeah, Leaper, did that cover it for you? In the Green Dot video, it seemed the captain decided to FO was incompetent, did not like him, which makes it a recipe. Yes, and John, I think that's, we get back to why that FO wasn't allowed to upgrade. There must have been something publicly known about that first officer. Maybe the captain already knew his backstory and that he would never become a captain because of his issues. So that might have played a role in it. Whatever it was, whatever that cockpit gradient was, it was unacceptable. What if you get a GIPWIS warning and the TCAS tells you to do the opposite? What do you do? Jeremy, we get that all the time. You comply. So, first and foremost, you comply with the GIPWIS. So a lot of times what they do to us in training is, matter of fact, they do that training in Vegas. I've had it so many times here where you're in the sim. And let me just pull up, well, I can't draw on this, can I? Or can I? No, I can't draw on this. Let's edit. But will they have you on a downwind like this and they give you a descend clearance? Or you're on a downwind and you get a TCAS that says descend, descend, and then you get a CFIT. You comply with the CFIT, with the GIPWIS. So they try to trigger both at the same time. So you're in a TCAS RA compliance, which drives you into the ground, which now you got to comply with the GIPWIS. GIPWIS, if you had to pick, is going to take precedence. Because if you hit the ground, you're guaranteed you're hitting something, right? The ground is guaranteed to be there. It's not moving. You will hit it. Another airplane, hopefully they're complying with their TCAS, right? So even if you don't comply, hopefully they're complying, and it puts the odds in your favor. But the ground is a constant. The ground will be there. You have to comply with the JIPWIZ. The only time that you ignore an RA, or I'm sorry, what is it on the Sam? You know what I'm talking about, on a PRM approach. If you get a breakout and you get a conflicting resolution. So let's say the controller says climb and maintain, but you get a TCAS that says maintain vertical speed or descend. What do? You follow what the TCAS says, because remember, the TCASs are all talking to each other. The other aircraft has got a TCAS. You have a TCAS. The TCAS is probably right. It could be a controller error. So in that case, you listen to the TCAS. Just a friendly reminder: the descent angle must be steeper than 5.1 degrees of FPA. For what? Ain't nobody said that, Gustavo. We're gonna juice this approach up. I'm gonna get $77 back from Mark. I've never actually gotten one of those in the sim, just the classic TCAS reversal. Yeah. So they used to do one to us, Sam, where you would do I haven't had this in a long time. You were doing a PRM approach in Atlanta, and then they would give you a breakout maneuver directly towards the tower, and then the JIPWIZ would go off because of the terrain obstacle of the tower. So then you would comply with that. It was like it was a double whammy. And I think they would try to throw in another TCAS in the climb out so you get the trifecta, but that was pretty hard to do. But I do remember them setting us up for PRMs in Atlanta, doing a breakout maneuver right to the tower, and then complying with the JIPWIZ. Getting the Vegas TCAS down into the mountain, comply with JIPWIZ, double. That's happened multiple times in the sim. Final approach fix inbound to 708. Yo, yeah, we'll be fine, Gus. Don't worry, man. I got this. We're going to grease this in. Wasn't there a controller who told an aircraft to ascend against a TCAS and cause two planes to collide? I think so, Rickenzie, and I think that's why the official literature was to now follow, or is to now follow, the TCAS. If the controller gives you something, the controller could be wrong. Listen to the TCAS. Comply with your TCAS. Yeah, it was over Germany, right? Yeah, Vladimir says the Tu-154 with kids. Oof. And I think it was that accident that then set the precedent. Okay, if there's a conflict, everybody fly your TCAS, RA. Speaking of tower, see footage of the heli that hit the TV tower? What? No, I didn't see that. Didn't Mentor have a RA situation at CDG? Probably. I just had an interesting fact that, just to put the numbers out there. So there's been an uptick in RAs going into Burbank. So much so, the stats were they picked an airport, Miami. They said there was an RA every one in 1,000. Going into Burbank is 1 in 12. So there is a massive uptick at RAs at Burbank recently, and I think it actually got down to 1 in 10. 1 in 10 approaches into Burbank has an RA, whereas you look at Atlanta or Miami is a 1 in 1,000. It's all that VFR traffic, Sam. Yeah, exactly what it is. Because not only are they leaving you high, you're focused on getting down and fast and slowing down, and then you've got these 172s putzing around there, career track flying around. So yeah, it's interesting that there's like a bulletin that I just read because I haven't flown since the last trip now, right? Been about a week. So as I get ready to go back to work on Friday, I'm looking at all my company emails, reading all the stuff. I'm going east though, so it doesn't matter. Can the Airbus autopilot fly the RA? Jeremy, yes. The new ones have APFD TCAS, which some of our fleet has it. Some of them don't yet. The last airplane I flew did have it. Okay, we need to start down, Jet. The last one I flew did have it. Indeed. All right, vertical speed. Let's go ahead and start down. We're going to get caught up here what we need to do. Yeah, we need to start down. I got chit-chatting. An RA would happen with the Cessna? Yes, Aaron, it would. And in that case, they don't have an RA. but they have to have ADS-B out, right? So we can pick up their transponder, and then our aircraft will issue a resolutionary advisory. All right, so we got a lot to do here. Oh my gosh, we're gonna do 250. We're gonna do a flight level change to 290. Let's make it 200. Let's get the speed brake out. We got to get caught up on the approach. All right, Subsu is at 210, so I'll actually set 210. Let's see if we can catch it here. Speed brakes are out, sim sounds are up. Flight recorder's getting out. 4,000 foot high. Nah, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. We'll catch it. All right, so setting up for the approach, there's a couple things we need to do. We need to inhibit the terrain override, so we'll have to we'll inhibit it down. Make sure you remind me as we get down to like kind of like 18,000 feet. We'll hit terrain override. Right now we're trying to catch up to our vertical path, which we are slowly but surely. We're 3,400 feet high, but we're catching it. Our speed brakes are out. Let's come down here, look at our init ref. We're going to be flaps 30, 137. We need to make the circle at flaps 20. If we are not flaps 20, we might even have to go gear down 25. Let me pull up Navigraph again and look at the Paro charts here. So we've got the X-ray loaded. So this is what we're going to do. This is your approach briefing. We're going to hit 708. We have an altitude restriction. I believe it's like 11,800. Yes, 11,800 at 712. From there, we're going to be as slow as we can be, probably flaps 20, or and flying as slow as we can around this turn here. And then once we get visual with the airport, we're going to proceed past the airport. Then we have to do our full configuration, our turn in the valley to line up, and then do the visual approach. Remember, that's the monastery. Let me back that up here one. Let me try that again. So we're going to fly over the field. We're going to hug the left, fly out here. We do our circle fully configured, parallel the river, shoot for the monastery, and land on 1-5. So that is going to be our route of flight. Now we need to be about 9,000-ish feet or so when we're right about here, abeam the little hill turning back towards the monastery. So this is obviously, this aircraft does not approve of this approach. You wouldn't be taking a 777 into Paro, but I did bet one PMDG 777 or dollar equivalent, so $79, right, to my Discord lawyer, Saul Goodman. And he says if I can land it and stop it without doing zero fuel, zero passengers, which we've all seen, we have fuel, we have passengers on board, we actually have 300 passengers on board, we are going to land in the touchdown zone and stop on the runway. Now it's going to be interesting getting to the ramp area, but that doesn't matter. We have to just be legitimate on our approach. If for some reason we float it out, it's not going to behoove us to continue the approach because we need to go around anyway because we won't be able to stop for our landing data. We need to be down in that first third of the runway, probably first quarter of the runway, to be able to stop this puppy. So let's run some landing computations. We've caught back up to it. We're descending to 210. We'll just maintain that. We'll maintain this for now until we level, and then I'll reset and go VNAV. So we can smash it if necessary, correct. We can also smash it if necessary. $77.30. All right. So I don't like losing. So we got to nail this. Let's go to performance. Let's go to landing en route, VQPR, runway 15, and import aircraft details, auto brakes, NAX auto, VREF add of 5, AI off, air conditioning on, flaps 30, and all operative. Import weather, we don't have it, so let's just say it's this. and then I'll get the weather. It won't let me calculate that, huh? Oh, at X at 2 digits. There we go. Maybe that works. There we go. So, VREF 142, required landing distance 5,000, available landing distance 6,900 feet. So, that's 1,900 feet available for us to mess up on. Now, if you land at 1,500 feet, which is pretty standard, that only gives us 400 feet of play. So you could see here where landing on that first quarter of the runway is going to be imperative. But our book says we can do it. I'm going to see if I can get the actual weather from Paro right now. Gustavo wants me to land 3-3. No, nobody lands 3-3. All the videos have them landing 1-5. Plus, I don't know if we can fit through there on the 3-3 valley. And Mark didn't specify 3-3. So we have to go. We're putting odds in our favor. Let me look at Navigraph. Do they have weather for Paro? Right now, the winds are variable at 2, temperature 18 and 1023. So it's just a little bit warmer. So not much change. So our numbers are good. It says we can do it. How do we get high again? Let's go back to VNav. Will you go catch it? I think it will. And let's go ahead and set 15 thou. Approach chart. Let's set 11,800 is what we want to set. 11,800. All right, 11,800 is set. We're speed LNAV, VNav speed. I still want to do speed initiative here. We're going to keep it slow. 250 as we come around the corner here. And be at or above 17 for that first waypoint. Let me make sure in our legs page we have 14,000 or above. I want to make that a hard 14 for above, 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 and then a hard 11.8. Okay, so that's good. Our box is set. We've got a lot of aboves in there. We'll get a little bit high again. A little more spoiler coming on now. In HG 3021. Thank you, Gustavo. So that would only help us, I think, right? How will you do the final turn? The final turn is going to be the most challenging part, coming across the monastery and lining up with the runway. That's definitely going to be the most challenging part. I think that and the 180 in the valley. The 180 in the valley is going to be challenging as well, because theoretically we should be able to be slow enough to make that radius. We may have to go gear down flap 25 to get us. That's 10 knots there. It's a 10 knot VREF. I believe flaps 20 is as low as we can go, right, without lowering the gear. So we got to keep an eye on that. Transition altitude on approach is 18,000 feet. So we should be getting close. Should be getting close. Let's go ahead and bring out the Throttletek cam so we know there's no funny business. Recording is ready. Our speed brakes are still out. We probably don't need them anymore. Nope. Those are stowed. Here comes transition. Magic Barrel Ref is 2.9 or 9 or 5. We'll update that as we get a little bit closer. Now, another thing we have to do in the box, we have 3-3 selected, I believe, right? So once we leave the designated approach, once we go visual and we overfly Paro, we're going to then recycle the box for a visual reference on 1.5. So I will have an extended center line to look at. I'm going to turn weather radar off. We don't need it. It's clear. We've got terrain data up, right? Put terrain data up. And out of 17,000 feet, we're going to go ahead and mute the terrain. So we actually won't even get any terrain warnings right now. So terrain is inhibited. That is part of the SOP for the approach. We're at 17,000 or above for PR 888 as we start our first segment of the published approach. Get ready for a kablamo. Hey, I'll take a kablamo if I can get $77.73 from Saul Goodman. How many times have I practiced at home? 0. I slewed into the air to take the thumbnail. I landed long and went off the end of the runway. I don't have the sim at home, Tutko, so I wish I could have practiced this at home. Does the 777 have anything to manage minimum energy and wind changes like the Ground Speed Mini? No. You would have to, as far as I'm aware, there is no Ground Speed Mini type of feature on the 777. What you would do then is you would just add your pilot additive, your VREF Plus. He practiced in office. That was not defined. No, Gustavo did not practice in office. I kind of wish I would have. When do I have time? I actually haven't even been to Paro since we last flew into Paro, whenever that was, so minus getting the thumbnail ready. Just don't be high on the last turn. I know, Team Vodka. That's the key is as we come back around in the valley, we gotta keep descending. There's a tendency to be high. I remember when we flew the fly-by-wire in here, I believe it was the fly-by-wire. We were high even after coming around the turn. If we are high in the 777, we will not stop. We will have to go around. So it's put it on the second runway stripe, third runway stripe max. I don't even know, does this runway have touchdown zone markers? I think 3-3 is easier too, Vodka, because you've got more time. This approach with the cloud break over the top and that circle in the valley, I think it's a little bit more, it's more hands-on. It does on both thresholds, okay. My ears just popped like I was in the real airplane. That's weird. I wish the scenery was a little bit more juice out here. Need better ortho in 2024. All right, we need to watch our speed though. Let's go ahead and start reducing. Let's come back to 220 knots. Matter of fact, let's go back to sim brief. Nope. 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 Approach, RNAV X-ray, X-ray. So right. Trying to see if there's any speed limits here. Max is 145. I don't think we're going to be at 145 knots for that first turn. We're going to have to try. Speed brake out. We're already ripping way too fast. We're already way too fast for this. We might have to lower the gear already. What is the gear speed? Flap 1 is 265. We could go flap 1 already. Let's go ahead. We're going to start configuring it right now. I love that. All right, slats are coming out. And let's go ahead and get all our lights on now. Landing lights. Turn off lights. No smoking can stay off. Seatbelts are on though. Terrain override. Checklist override. Normal. Descent. Recall notes. Auto brakes. Max auto. Oh, speed brake, that's mine. Actually, let's keep coming back. 180. Landing data VREF is set. Minimums would be visual. Approach briefing is completed. You guys have been briefed. I've been briefed. Altimeters are set. Landing checklist. Speed brake, gear, flaps. We'll leave that out. Let's get more speed brake action out here. We're on the VNAV profile. We're below that, so flaps 5 is coming in. Sounds are coming up. Hopefully the sim too loud. I juiced up the sound a little bit. Let's go ahead and drop in 15. Love the flaps. You got to bail in 15 minutes. We should be down in 15, Team Vodka. All right, we're approaching our 11,800. We're going to keep it descending. We're going to set a flyover cloud break altitude of 10,500. So 10,500 is set. We're getting ready to cross 11.8 at 712. We're looking good. We're 181 on the speed. We could technically go to flaps 20 right now. Let's go ahead and do that. Give us maximum buffet here. We're going to be pretty hot on this turn. I don't know if we can do 145. Let's do 160. One speed brake here. Now we are off the beaten path now. We're through 11,800. We're descending to 10.5. Matter of fact, let's make that 10.8 for now. Let's not get too low. I'm trying to slow down here. Gear warning override is set. I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be okay though. Looking at this turn here, we're looking good. We're slowing to 160. We're already flaps 20. I'm going to bring my throttle levers into about 50% in case I need to take over. Flaps 20, 160. Speed brake is stowed. We're looking good. Let's do an updated barrel ref. 3012, yes, reset. Looking good now. Let's go ahead and trickle down vertical speed. 10,500 vertical speed. 9,500 is a safe altitude for the next fix. 9,500 is set. 1,000 feet per minute, down we go. All right, recording is on. Replay is recording, confirmed. All right, now get ready for heading. Let me spin my heading bug around here. I see Paro off the nose. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to select heading. And we are visual. Heading selected. Radar altimeter alive. Legs departure arrival. We're now doing 1.5 VFR extended centerline. Execute. Init ref is still 30 and 137. That checks. Now our VDP or visual descent over here is not going to be valid because it's coming from the other direction. But we're looking good. We're looking good. We're going to hug the left here. And I'm getting ready. We're going to skirt this hill. We need to skirt this hill. Go out here. We're doing a turnaround in this valley. And then line up back down there. You can see there's the monastery. We're going to come right across this hill. I don't know why it's not taking a while to load in the airport there. Our insurance company wants to hedge the bet. When you get off at the end, we'll give one of your subs a copy of the 777F. Oh, all right. Mr. PMDG is sponsoring the approach as well. One subscriber will get a 777 freighter when released when we get off the end of this runway. Fantastic, man. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Let's hope I don't screw this up now. I think we're looking good here. Once we cross over this mountain, I will select gear down, flaps 25. Matter of fact, can we go flaps 25 now? With the gear in override, let's go flap override. Gear flap override, flaps 25. Give us a little buffer here. All right, we're going to clear this hill. I'm going to reduce my airspeed 155. It's tight. All right, let's give ourselves some room. So now we're going to come out here to the left. And I'm getting ready to take control. All right, autopilot's coming off. Autopilot's off. Flight director's off. Bird is on. Our ref is 137, right? So I'm going to go ahead and have that set.
I will traffic 35 Delta Romeo, holding Papa Romeo 888.
Let's go gear down. 30. IAS. What was it? 143-ish. Let's keep it 147 here for the turn. Don't climb. 9,500 will be set for the go around. I'm going to swing a little bit more to the left. Right as we get over this peak, it's a hard bank angle check to the right. Right as we clear this here, bank angle check to the right. All right, I've started a nice shallow descent. Now yanking and banking. Here we go, rolling it in.
500.
I'm going to go my thrust levers. Get a little slow, more power. Watch that speed. Bank angle check.
Good luck, dude. I'll be judging.
Coming around. It's a whole lot of terrain. Whoa, watch that pitch. We're looking good, chat. Watch that speed. Power. Okay, I like this. A little more power. A little slow. Correcting. Let's get back up there. Remember, 143, I think is what we're looking for. 47.5, 142 is set. Okay, this is where we can get. You don't want to get high here. I know it looks like we're kind of low, but we're looking good. We're 8,800 feet. Don't level. Keep coming down. All right, so we're aiming at the monastery. Stand to the left of the river. Looking good here. A little more power.
1,000.
It's 1,000 stable-ish. Keep coming. All right, not yet. And now, let's go ahead. Roll it over. Watching the speed. A little more power. We're going to clip this hill right here. Looking good. We don't want to hit the hill, but we cannot get high. I could cheat and go further left, but I'm not. I'm going to do what they do in the video. I'm going to come right over this guy's house here. We're going to blow his DirecTV dish off the roof.
100.
Keep driving it down.
Sync rate.
Sync rate check.
Sync rate.
Correcting.
Sync rate.
Roll it in.
Sync rate. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Spoilers. Reverse. Brakes. Oh, I never armed the speed brakes. Oh my gosh! I hit my honeycomb when I was still on the reversers. Whoo! I literally hit my honeycomb as I was still in the reversers. I'm definitely shaking a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, a welcome to Paro.
Nicely done. A bet is a bet.
$77 from Saul Goodman. Let's go ahead and clear here without dragging a tire. Might have to change the tires in the PMDG ops manager there. I forgot to arm the speed brakes with, but thank goodness Boeing has the reverser, because I was wondering, wait, why did it pop up a second time? Because once you go reverse, it's like the Airbus, I guess, where it will actually deploy the speed brakes when thrust reversers are selected. That saved us, because if we did not have any speed brake on that, I don't know if we would have stopped. I got so caught up in not hitting the terrain. I think we can actually fit on this too, maybe here. This is pretty good. I'm definitely shaking a little bit. I guess that's why 777s don't land there. Precisely. Let's clean it up, taxi to the ramp. Oh my word. Oh my word. Carlito, thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate you. For the $5 Canadian, just for that, my man. Appreciate you so much. Thank you. We have a number for you to call for not arming the speed brakes. What are the brake temps? How do I check brake temps? Fuel, a hydraulic gear? Is that they're 200s and climbing? Or is that, I'm assuming that's temp. Thank you, Jacobs. Appreciate you, man. $2 super chat. Got to love it. That was, man, I haven't been that nervous in a while on the stream. That was, as soon as we started making that turn in the valley over there, I started getting pretty nervous. Pretty nervous. I saw RA50 over the house. Now the replay is going to be epic. What I'm going to do is actually I'm going to stop recording. I'm going to save it right now. Save 777. Paro is saved, just in case anything happens. I really want to see how low we were over that guy's house on the hill there. I don't think I was 100 over the threshold. I think I was right on over the threshold. I think I was right on. I forgot to launch G's, but we'll launch it in the replay. We'll launch it
right on the numbers.
Ooh. Too bad Caleb Williams can't do that when he's throwing the ball.
Damn, shots fired.
Stephen, I haven't been this
neither
nervous.
can Dak or Aaron Rodgers.
I haven't been this nervous since I talked to German ATC on Iveo Premium. True story, Stephen. True story. Kyle, this is the Throttletek 7576 Quadrant. Check it out, pinned at the top of the chat, my man. All right, now this could be a problem here. Yeah, that's going to be problematic. Let's go ahead and let's offset a little bit. Just clear that little monastery-looking building. Now, this is another reason why 777s don't come to Paro, because there's nowhere to park. So we're just going to pull in here on this first spot.
By the way, were you carrying this or just full flight?
This was a full flight with 300 passengers, my man. How much fuel do we have? We still have 9,000 pounds of fuel on board too. All right, let's go ahead and park right here.
100 of those free braking actually.
Got a cheat here. Perfect. Okay, that is awesome. That is an awesome sight. Seeing the 777 in Paro. I think we will be able to clear this guy's sharklet because it's just taller than the sharklet. So I think we'll be alright. We're definitely going to be overlapping. But I think we will be taller than it. Eh, maybe not. We'll get right up to the edge. Almost real V1, almost real pilot V1 being nervous. Definitely got my heart pumping there on that turn. Alright, we are in. Oh, look, here comes another triple. Oh, nice. He put it down right on the numbers. That looked real smooth, too. That looked pretty dang good. Let's see where they stop. Now, good luck parking, my friends.
That guy, too.
Let's go ahead and set the brakes. I'm not even going to shut them down because I want to watch the replay. Let's see. These are brakes. Are these temps? 200s? I'm not sure. Where would you check brake temps? Let's look at our brake. Let's look at our wheel page. Oh yeah, definitely. We've got some oranges in here. We've got some oranges in here. Team Vodka, take it easy, man. We'll see. I'm gonna catch up to some of these messages I missed. Bill's Mafia. When Rogers puts it on the numbers, it's usually a pick. Bill's Mafia. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Yes, unfortunately, it was courtesy of freaking Garrett Wilson dropping a perfect pass, man. Thank you for the $5 super chat. And AJ, thank you. You versus the guy who is just a friend. Yep, precisely. Precisely. Look at that. A 777 and a 320 Neo. Just a little baby airplane there. All right. Let's do replay. And we need to run a quick, before we do that, actually during the replay, we will run a dice for the 777F. We'll run a, what's it called? A giveaway. All right. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and disconnect from my Veo Premium. And let's run back the replay. Watch this here from the passenger view. That was Elena Zane greasing that? Elena Zane, that was nice. That was a nice landing. It looked better than mine. It looked better than mine. All right. The key word is 777F. 777F will be the code word for running a giveaway for a 777 freighter. So get it in now. Again, this is, hopefully he wasn't kidding. If he was, I'll pick one up for you. I'll give it to you. But this is for a chance to win a 777 freighter when released, courtesy of Mr. PMDG himself. Hopefully he was serious. Like I said, if not, I will go ahead and I'll just get a 777F for you as well. For the giveaway, thank you for tuning in here. And we are going to run this momentarily. 777F is the command if you want to take a shot at winning the freighter variant. Here is our first turn. This is where I was feeling fine right about here. But once we crossed this hill and I saw how tight the maneuvering constraints were, I was... my heart started pounding. No lie. No lie. I'll give you guys a couple more. 707, 320, Steven. Come on. Automatic win for you. 707. Man, I wish we had a 7. No, how about 747 Classic? That's what I want. All right, we're up to 180 eligible. I'm gonna let it go until we make the turn here. Once we go gear down, or are we gear down already? Oh, we're gear down already on replay mode. All right, this is where we go flaps full. Jeff Fabiano, welcome in, man. Good to see you, Jeff. Hope you're doing well, dude. Man, I was definitely just, I got lucky on this one. I got lucky on this approach here. I bet one of my Discord members the 777 or equal dollar value. We could do a legit flight into Paro in a 777 and stop, and it was close. You only have about 500 feet of leeway, and honestly, I was more concerned about making this turn without stalling. There's a point here, I wonder if it'll show it, where I started to pull back on the stick, or on the yoke, and the tiger tail shot up. And it was at that point, I think, my heart skipped a beat and I started to get really nervous. We'll see it here in the turn, I think. We are working directly with PMDG. House is 7-6. Roberto, It's fantastic, man. I've got it bound up. I'm going to do a video on how to bind everything exactly that I have bound right now. This flight was awesome with it. I've been flying the 777 with a Roberto for the last 2 flights, and it's, dude, this is my favorite throttle, even though I fly the Airbus, and I love the A320 Flightbox. There's something about this 7.6 Quadrant that just feels like a big boy throttle, you know? It's a totally different feeling. I absolutely love it. So I've had that pinned at the top of the chat as well. Right here, look at this. Look. You see that? That's where my heart skipped a beat, and I'm looking at all of this green. This is not a good scenario here. Yanking and banking. That is a bank angle check if I've ever seen it right there. I mean... Oh, let me launch G's, Jeff. I forgot to launch G's on the initial landing. I'm going to run it right now. I've got G's up and running. We'll see here. Actually, let's put G's up on this cam right here so you could see it happen live. So you know I'm not lying to you. Now remember, a G load wasn't part of the bet, but we are down, flaps full, and I also forgot the spoilers. Jeez. Thank goodness it has auto deploy. Enjoy a stronger latte. Thank you so much, Copper. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate you. All right, after this landing, I will roll the giveaway. So here we are. We're looking good. I really want to see this over this guy's house. Fully configured, gear down, on ref. Oh yeah, we'll do a full-blown wing view here after this one. Right here. After the monastery, bank it over. Gosh, can you imagine coming in here in real life? Now, I know they don't do it in the triple, but still. This is one hell of an approach. I don't know. I don't know. What's more exciting, this one or Skardu? Skardu, I think, is more visually appealing. I will try to arm the spoilers now. I'll see what happens. I think they are armed in replay. Oh, is that extended? What is that? What's happening? Oh.
100.
Yeah. Yeah, I've armed him. Man, we just crushed that guy's house. Alright, let's see what the G's is here. Now imagine doing this with X-Plane graphics. Hold it. We're down right in the touchdown zone. Ooh, a 275. Hey, I'll 100% take that. 100% take that. Alright, let's go to full replay cam. Alright, let's get ready to run it. I will take a 275. Let's see this. I'm going to put the camera on this guy's house here. Hold on. We'll pause it. The drone cam. Look at that. Are you kidding me? I'm taking a screenshot of that. That right there. Can you imagine the noise? Here's this DirecTV dish right here. This dude just up here. That's a screenshot. That is awesome. That is freaking epic. This dude's house might have collapsed. I don't know. Let me unfreeze the camera here. We're going to do a flyby from here. All right. While we wait for the flyover, I'm going to run the giveaway. So here it is, 777F. Let's go ahead and run it. Everybody is eligible. Roll it. Are you kidding me? Rigged. Stephen Hayner won the giveaway. Thank goodness it wasn't Mark, or else I would have been really upset. Stephen Hayner is in the chat. He wins a 777F. Wow. Let's see the touchdown. That one was a 282 on G's. We were in the touchdown zone. Everything was legit. Just reset the showcase camera, lock the camera, and turn off the follow mode. What? I'm going to have to read that 3 or 4 times. Look at this. That is freaking awesome. That is awesome. Look at the turd. We're going to go runway view too. I didn't want to smash it. Oh, I will take that. I will take that. 100%. I will take that. I probably got some ground effect on the roof. Threshold at 50. Yeah, let's reset. Okay, one more flyover from this guy here. Mark says impossible. All right, let's do one more flyover from this roof. There it is. I'm going to turn the sounds all the way up. Okay, that is freaking awesome. That is so cool. I'm going to reset the drone cam for the touchdown lead here. So I'm going to pause it. Yeah, manually closes. Yeah, auto throttle was off for that whole approach. Auto throttle was off. Pretty much after we overflew the mountain, the ridgeline, started the circle. Let's do a threshold shot here. This is awesome. Robert says, yes, I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. Glad to join the Paro party. Hey, Mr. Robert, Mr. Randazzo, thank you so much again for joining in the stream, being here with us. Guys, that's awesome. PMDG is in the house. Looks like Stephen Hayner will be picking up a 777F. Dude, shoot me a DM, and we'll figure out that when it gets released. Mark is in the chat. Mark is a gentleman who owes me $77, so I made out good on this stream. I got my $77 back. Got to take money from Mark. That's always fun. Said I couldn't do it. I'll tell you what, I was definitely stressing when I pulled back on that stick. A little bit of a slip there as we come across. Hey, I'll take that. That's 100% acceptable. I'll take a mid-200 landing. All right, man. I still owe the 7.4 to Bill's Mafia. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. All right, let's go ahead and run this all the way back. I'm going to set the camera. Sail's going to come on. I'm going to let y'all watch a full replay without me yapping as we come around the mountains and stuff here. Let me wind it back a little bit further. Where do you want to be? Let's go back a little bit further. We'll get the gear up so y'all can enjoy this approach. So, flaps back where they were, everything is set. Alright. Guys, this was an awesome stream. I had so much fun. I hope you had fun with this one. What an incredible scenery from Skardu to Paro, Green Dot Aviation, Throttletek in the house with Roberto, Fabiano stopping by, PMDG getting in on the Paro party with adding to our wager, and of course coming away victorious with my bet from Mark Phase 1. This was a lot of fun, y'all. I'm going to try to stream tomorrow. I think we're going to try the max out. Tentative though. We'll just keep an eye on the channel, and hopefully I'll have that scheduled here before too long. But until then, y'all, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Shout out again to everybody who came in, hit the like button, super chats, the bank angle checks, just hanging out, being here with us in chat. I appreciate every single one of you. Until the next one, y'all stay safe, stay healthy. Oh, and when that 7.4 drops from PMDG, don't think I'm not going to try to bring that sucker in here either. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your night. See you!